What is up, fellow heroes, and welcome to the Digital Roundtable podcast, where me and Jeff, I completely forgot to grab water. Holy shish kebab! And they're already the hydrates are coming in. I have some leftover coffee from yesterday. Here, I'll drink that.
I mean, it's hydrating. That's high caffeinating.
High caffeinating. We're me, your host Mario, and my co-host Jeff.
Hi.
Do talk about the things that we love, and boy, do we love movies, because that's usually what we end up talking about, and mix it again with other things that we love to talk about. You can always catch us live at Digital Hero. Wow, I just said it backwards again. This intro is all types of messed up. At Twitch.
You took like 14 steps back, man.
Twitch.tv
You've been doing so good at that.
/Digital Hero 101. It's okay. It's not about how we fall. It's about how we get up from falling. And if you do enjoy listening to us and you want to listen to our previous episodes, please do have fun with it. We are on Spotify as well as other podcast streaming services like was it Apple Podcasts? But you can find us at Digital and then space Roundtable. Roundtable being one word. The first time I tried to go look for us, I didn't realize how picky it was, so maybe I gotta fix something on that. But hey, that was a winded intro.
Hey, you know who found us on Spotify?
Oh, did he? Did Gregory find us?
No, but same category of my current coworker, your former coworker, Colby, loves our freaking podcast.
He loves it?
Because I told you the story of, like, when Gregory asked me about it, and Colby was like, Jeff, you have a podcast? And immediately, like, had his phone out, and he was like, what is it? And he was, like, all giddy, like, ready to look it up and stuff. But he came to me a couple days later, and he's like, hey, so I started listening to the podcast, one where you guys were talking about trailers, and it's really cool. Like, I was kind of worried at first, because I was like, how are they going to talk about trailers for 2 hours? or whatever.
Wow.
But yeah, like the stuff that y'all are saying, it's really fascinating. And
yeah. Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, so we are live, so we do have a kind of like a live audience as well. But I see chat over here saying Hydrate Gang is here. You should know. Yeah, dude, the Hydrate Gang is asking for their protection money. Oh.
are we back?
Yes, I forgot. Dude, this has been an issue. The stream's been doing this every time I start it. It shouldn't do it again.
Okay.
But it's been doing it every time we start.
Glitches out.
Yeah,
at the
just
beginning
at the beginning. I always have to put it on starting soon up for like 10 minutes, and I put it up for only like 2 minutes this time, and I was in the middle talking. So you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. Here, I'm gonna write myself a little note. We're gonna write myself a little note. Let's see. Disney.
Just cut this part out of the podcast.
Basically, that means I get to redo my whole intro. No, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I can edit that back in there. Disney, good, bad, ugly. I'll put the date on 8/29, and then time slot 4 minutes. Hello, fellow heroes, and welcome to the Digital Roundtable podcast. You can always catch us live at twitch.tv /Digital Hero 101. I nearly said it backwards again. I'm your host, Mario, and this is my co-host, Jeff.
Hi.
You know, we never go over that introduction, but Jeff does that every time, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I actually wait for it. I'll say it, and I'll be like, oh, and then he'll be like, hey. And,
I try to get it in there just in case. Like, I don't know if you're going to pause, you're going to keep going. So I always try to, like, sneak attack it in there, you know?
I love it. The customary crash. Yeah, it's starting to become customary. It's crazy. If you're listening to this on the podcast, you probably heard 2 intros, because I probably just, like, cut out the weird bit where I said I was going to take out the first intro, but decided to put it
just
in
don't
anyways.
cut it out. People love this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's staying in there. So yeah, my stream likes to crash. But what we were talking about before, it's like we got someone that likes our thing. So I immediately went to go see like our statistics, right? Because I'm like, ooh, someone's watching, and yo, okay, you ready for this, Jeff? So okay,
maybe.
we get so like it looks okay. Let me just so last time I brought this up, I said we had 6 listens. Like we had like only 6 people listen to us, right? Since then, which was probably about 2 weeks ago, we are now at 22 plays.
Oh, hey.
Hey. And
That's pretty rad.
we got a lot of people listening to us. A lot. We had people listen. Something about resurrection. I don't get to see this full title. I could probably go and look for the full title, but I don't get to see it right now. And then we have people that like listening to our, I guess, Blizzard. I'm oh yeah, the Blizzard controversy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah, it was topical. That's why we have. This is interesting. So, United States, most of our listens, 68% of our listens are in the United States. 18% are from Germany. 9% are from Ghana. And then 4%, which is probably just one dude, are from Brazil.
Hey, I mean, I'm gonna assume that's that Fast and Furious crossover right there.
Okay.
This is Brazil.
Okay. So I'm gonna leave this next part I saw for last. But so we have we got 48% of the people that listen to us. They listen to us on their computer or on a web browser of some sort. 38% of the people that listen to us on Apple. So maybe I should not be promoting Spotify, but promoting Apple. I don't know. 9% listen to us on Spotify. That's probably just because we're hard to find on Spotify, if I'm going to be honest. And then I don't know what TT Player is, but 5% listen to us on there. That's probably that 1%. Now this is what I found interesting. So whoa, what? Okay, this is tripping me out. Okay, so of the views that we've gotten, so of the 22 different listens and I'm going to break that down even more and say that's roughly 10 people listening to us. The age group is from 50% of them are 23 to 27 years old, and the other 50% are 28 to 34 years old.
Okay.
That's weird. Like, that weirds me out because that's like me and you.
Yeah, that's literally like the difference between me and you.
So we're hitting both. What if? And then here's the thing that I thought was really cool. Of all those statistics, another 50% is male and female. We're exactly straight down the line.
Oh, that's good.
That's awesome.
Perfect, man.
Right. It's cool. So this is my first time seeing apparently 47% of people like listening to us on the Windows and 43% like listening to on iPhone, Android's 5%, and other is 5%. So poor Android listeners. Android listeners don't like us.
It's so interesting that it breaks it down like in so many different ways of like different regions and what they're listening on and how long it analytics always fascinate me.
And you know what's also funny? Yeah, analytics fascinate. I'm glad they fascinate you because they fascinate me, and I'm happy that we can talk to you. And I hope people listening like hearing these analytics because I mean they're hearing it. But what freaks me out is that the thing that I use Anchor.fm, right? It is basically it's used by Spotify. Like all these statistics come from Spotify.
Right.
So, but we're getting where the least amount of love is where. That's funny.
Oh, that's funny.
That is funny. I recently did a wing challenge where Hot Ones, the show that I talk about a lot on this show.
Oh, I love Hot Ones.
I got their sauces. And if you're on camera with us today, here I'll show you some of them right here. Wait, what? Oh no. That's not correct. Hold on. My stream.
Oh, the title.
Yeah, the title. The title's not correct at all.
That's weird.
Okay, now it should be fixed.
There we go.
What the? I guess that was part of the crash. I saw that. Luckily, Stream Elements came up and said something. But yeah, I'm actually still feeling the effects of these wings. Not gonna lie.
You're still dealing with the repercussions of your actions.
Now, if you're listening to us on the podcast, this won't affect you because I'm literally just gonna like pause the recording and then hit the recording. But if you're watching us live, and I do apologize to you too, Jeff, there might be times where like I have to like just like run.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's like I'm sick. Like I'm like I
do it then.
I'm just like it's
I
like
don't know
I've been
how
like
people do this.
bedridden. I feel now it makes me feel a lot like more sympathy towards all the celebrities that have been on there. Because can you imagine like doing interviews and then you probably have to go see Jimmy Kimmel like the next night after that,
yeah.
right? And then you just got done doing these Hot Ones and it's still affecting you like a day or two later.
Now that you bring that up, I'm surprised that we haven't seen that where somebody comes out like on like Jimmy Kimmel or Fallon or whatever, and they're like, "Hey man, like thanks for coming on the show. How you doing?" And they're like, "Not great, Jimmy. Did Hot Ones yesterday. I don't know if you know about Hot Ones, but not feeling too hot. Not feeling too hot right now.
Feeling a little too hot right now."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm surprised that. I wonder if they do that on purpose. I wonder if like they show up to the Hot Ones interview last, right? Because I don't know.
Yeah, it's like we got to take a week off.
Yeah,
or
maybe they show up to it first and they don't air it till like later on.
Yeah, or it's like if you have to do Zoom calls the next day, it's like, okay, so instead of having 5 minutes in between each Zoom call, we'll have like half an hour in between each Zoom call, so you can like have time.
But anyways,
imagine how Sean Evans feels.
Dude,
like he's done this like 1,000 times at this point. Like,
I mean, his tolerance is pretty good, but it's still I'm sure it affects him because there was an interview that was like pretty recent where he said they were saying like how do you deal with this? You know, they always like to ask him that kind of stuff, and they were asking him like how do you deal with this, and he said that like when the show finishes, he has a ritual where he like goes into a room, he cranks up the AC, and like he just tells everyone to leave him alone, and he just like sweats it out and stuff like that. Because in my video, like, and I'm in the process of like editing the video, but like I'm drenched in sweat. Like my shirt it looked like I had probably like just jumped into a pool with that shirt that I was wearing because of how much I was sweating and how much like those wings were affecting me. And like the thing is like I was trying to, instead of like being interviewed or just like experiencing the heat of the wings, I was playing a multiplayer game. Like I was playing a video game and like trying to competitively compete with people while suffering through those wings. And I understand now where celebrities just start cursing him out. They're just like, man, screw you, man. Because I want to say, like, before you get to, like, the really, like, bad ones, I want to say around, like, maybe level 5 or 6 is whenever you get to a point where, oh, this is, like, stupid hot. And if you've ever been to Buffalo Wild Wings or Wingstop, I don't know, the stuff we have here in the States, mm-hmm. That's like very easy accessible, like really hot wings. Like I've had those, like the hottest they get. So like that's like from the scale of from hot sauces here, that's like at their 7. And then you hit the bomb, dude. The bomb is just absolute. Dude, it's
So my
Sucks.
mom loves experimenting with like spicy foods and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so for one Christmas, I was like inspired by hot ones, and I was like, oh fuck it! Like my mom's like starting to experiment with like sauces and stuff. I'll get her some hot sauces, like from the show.
Yeah.
So I got her the Mad Dog 357, the Zombie Apocalypse, and Da Bomb.
Oh boy.
And so like the first night we were like she obviously like when we were like doing Christmas and stuff, like we didn't cook anything because that's not like really our style. We don't do like a big festivity. It's just me and her kind of thing. So we just went to Raising Cane's. And just like for fun to kind of like try out the sauces or whatever, we were like, let's just like mix in some of the hot sauce like with the Cane's dipping sauce. I put one drop of Da Bomb in the mixing sauce, and I wanted to die. I know, dude.
It's
That's
bad.
like, dude. Every time they come to that sauce, I'm just like, yeah, I know. It sucks.
It's
I
so.
hate that sauce so much.
Dude, I had like a whole freaking nugget covered in that sauce. Like
Oh
I did
yeah.
the whole ritual, man. I did the whole thing. The
I can't
bomb
even imagine an
is like the
entire
second
coating
it
of that.
touches your tongue, you're dying. Like it's the rest of them, they'll creep up on you, right? Even because like
Uh-huh.
I have the last dab Apollo,
Mm-hmm.
and
Which
that
is
one,
their signature sauce.
right? And that one burnt, but like the
But
bomb
that one actually has
smacks you in
taste
the
to it,
face.
though, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, they have taste. The bomb is gross. Like
Yeah, the bomb is literally just like diesel fuel.
I wanted
and
to gag.
The spiciest thing you've ever had.
I mean, I did gag. I wanted to puke. It was gross. It was so gross it made me gag. And yeah, but that's how my weekend went. How's your weekend been going, Jeff?
My weekend is not as steamy as yours. Pretty chill. Got up and ran some errands yesterday, and then watched a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
So that was fun to just kind of veg out on the couch and watch some rom-coms.
Ooh,
Uh,
rom-coms.
I capped it off with Crazy Rich Asians,
That's a fun
and
one.
I really love that movie. Man.
I didn't
It was
think I would
great.
like it, and I watched it, and then I had a good time.
It's I feel like that movie. I won't get too in the weeds about it because we got other stuff to talk about. But
Yeah.
Crazy Rich Asians to me is a great example of sometimes you just got to play the hits because like it is like there not to say it's like formulaic, but like it's just kind of it's a movie that like aunts love. You know, like you
Yeah.
go with the whole family when you're together for Thanksgiving kind of movie. And it's just it's a delightful movie, and the sets are, I mean, it's called Crazy Rich Asians, so like the characters are stupid wealthy. So like all the sets are amazing because they're in these like lavish mansions, and all the costumes are amazing because they're in these like tuxedos and cocktail gowns and stuff. It's a very pretty film to look at, and it's just delightful. I recommend this movie from 3 years ago or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
if you're
not
into
topical in any way.
no, I mean if you're into rom-coms, it's a movie that like you would want to see. And what's up, Bepting? Hey, what's up? It's good to see you in the chat. Yeah, no, rom-coms are fun. I never really watched rom-coms until I started dating Caitlin, right? And this was kind of like getting into. We can have a whole episode on rom-coms, but like this back pre couple episodes ago when I was telling you how like I evolved into watching movies, and one of those like evolutions for me was realizing, oh, I like other things, or I like things that are bad, or I like things that are stereotypically not for men, and realizing
Right.
it's okay to watch whatever I like, you know.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think rom-coms like fits into that category, and I haven't seen a lot of them because I'm so late into the game with them. But I've seen Crazy Rich Asians, and yeah, I do recommend it. However, what I did see, I only got to watch one movie this weekend, which is kind of disappointing for me. But I did watch Cruella, and the new one with Emma Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Emma Stone.
Does that have anything to do with our topic this evening, Mario?
Oh yes, it does. Matter of fact, only 20 minutes into the episode will we be on if you're new to this if you're new to this show, buckle in, because me and Jeff like to take the steering wheel and pull it all sorts of directions. The Disney live action films. So I watched Cruella and I really liked it. Like I recommend go watch it. I didn't watch it in theaters. It kind of flew under the radar for me. I didn't even realize it was something that was coming out, if I'm going to be completely honest. I saw it on Disney Plus, and I thought it was only on Disney Plus. And so I was like, I'm not paying $30 to watch it. Sorry, Disney. I'll wait 3 months. I don't mind. And then I realized when I went to go see, I think like Fast and Furious, Cruella's in theaters, but I'm watching Fast and Furious. And then I think I went to go see Green Knight or something. And then I was like, I just never ended up getting to see it. And so I'm happy that I saw it. I think that was something that I wish I would have saw in theaters. And it also got me thinking, like, man, like, yeah, Disney can make good movies, but why haven't there other live actions been like this?
So you liked Cruella.
I liked Cruella. Is that something... Matter of fact, I saw Cruella today. Let's be... Is that not a popular opinion?
No.
Really?
I mean, well, so here's the thing.
Hold up.
I guess I should say in the online, YouTube community, Twitter community, whatever, that I run in circles with, like not people that I know, but people who I like follow and watch their videos and stuff. Yes, that is an unpopular opinion.
Really? Okay, so I'm not trying to like down your words or anything. So I'm gonna look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, right?
Oh no! I'm just saying like when you texted me initially and you're like, I watched Cruella. We need to talk about Disney movies. I was like, oh, here we go. Like he's gonna be all like, this movie sucked and what did this? No. So I was pleasantly shocked when you were like to learn that you liked it.
No, I liked it. Okay, so it has a audience score of 97%, which makes sense. It has a lot of like fan service in it, and it has a certified fresh tomato with 74% with 300, so over 5,000 audience views and 383 views. Here's a tip for anyone buying anything, whether it be like going to watch a movie or whether it be like to go do anything. When you look at reviews, look at the number of people that actually reviewed it, right? So if something that has 5,000 reviews and has a score of 90, like let's say it has a score of 90% at 5,000 reviews, but something else only has like maybe 500 reviews and has a score of like 95%, you could probably think that the thing with 5,000 views is like better, quotation marks around that.
As more people agree that it is good.
Exactly. You have more of a lean. Now, if something only has 30 views and you're comparing it to something that has 500 views, like go to the 500 views. Like the smaller number, you always want to be iffy about. But yeah, so compare that to Suicide Squad, which came out a little afterwards, or Space Jam. There we go. Space Jam, which had a 26% on Rotten Tomatoes, which failed. I have not seen that yet. So compare that to Space Jam, which is something that came out for Warner Brothers, not for Disney. And then Suicide Squad got a 91% fresh Rotten Tomatoes, which is funny because I gave Suicide Squad a 7. And I'm not saying it's funny because it has a 91%. I'm saying it's funny because I would give Cruella an 8. They're two completely different movies, though, so I don't like comparing.
Exactly.
Tomatoes and tomatoes.
I also want to just do a quick follow-up. I've watched The Suicide Squad twice since you and I talked about it. Ooh. I'm bumping it to an 8.5. 8.5.
I've thought about The Suicide Squad since we've talked about it. I would bump it up to an 8. I would bump it up to an 8.
It's again, just quick tangent. I'm not going to get us off topic.
Go for it.
It is the first movie in such a long time that the more times I watch it, the more I like it.
Yeah,
like it has been so long because so many times I just watch a movie over and over again, and it just gets worse and worse and worse because
It's
you can
very
like
true.
pick out all the holes and like blah 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 blah. But I was like pleasantly surprised that I'm saying the word pleasant a lot tonight.
Maybe
That I
you're having
watched
a
it
pleasant
two
night.
more. Like I watched it again, and I was like, oh okay. Now that I knew what to expect, I really like it. And then I watched it a third time. I was like, I really like this movie, man.
Yeah, and what's here? Bex or chat is saying I think the 8.5 is good. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. Watched it 3 times. So I
Nice.
love that reasoning of like you can rewatch it because a lot of the Marvel films they do kind of they're hard to
Hmm.
rewatch. Like you rewatch them and they kind of just fall apart. I like I said I was thinking about that film and there was things that I remembered that I was like yeah, it's a 7 and the reason I want to give things like an 8 or a 9 are because they go past then just meeting the requirements. And for me Suicide Squad did that. Like an example I can give is Idris Elba's character. He's really like he cares. He doesn't care about people, but he cares about doing a job well done.
Yeah.
And it's like small things like that that carry over to the from the beginning when we first see his character getting introduced. Like he really cares about cleaning up the prison. You know who goes that hard. Like what,
Mhm.
especially a prisoner, someone who's like known for breaking rules, would go that hard and like scraping gum off the floor. And
Right.
then we go to the end of the film where it's like, hey, you did what you needed to do, but he feels like the job's not done, you know? And so he wants to make sure that the job's done, like take care of.
Hmm.
And that follows through from beginning to end. To me, little things like that are hard to put in films and are even harder to be like appreciated or to be noticed. And like if you can put it in and have and hide it in a way that like you're not just like you don't have Harley Quinn being like, oh yeah, that guy like he scrubs gum off the floor real good, like no wonder he doesn't want to leave Starro alone. That's my Harley Quinn impression if you get down. uh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
without
showing, not telling.
right showing us and not telling that. I don't know, thank you, you just put exactly what I was trying to say into words. And that's to me bumps it up to an 8 because the movie does a great job at showing and not telling.
On that same note, I just want to throw in one more thing about Suicide Squad real quick.
Yeah.
Uh, this has not been confirmed by James Gunn in any way, but it's something that I saw somebody else posting about, and I really like it. So there's this running thing with Ratcatcher 2 where she's constantly falling asleep,
Yeah, I saw,
right? Like
yeah.
she's a really deep sleeper, and like when they're walking, she's like, "I'm so tired." And then like when they're on the bus to go rescue Harley, and they stop, and she's like, "Oh, fine, I'm awake, I'm awake." The reason that she's always sleeping is because she dreams of every time she goes to sleep, she dreams about her dad.
Aw.
And so that's why she sleeps all the time, is because that's her way of keeping her dad close to her and like going back to her happy place. Because when she's awake, her dad goes away.
Yeah.
And I really like that sentiment of like, oh my God, like that is a perfect example of showing, not telling.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, because she talks about like being with the rats and like they would keep us warm at night and like going to sleep. And it, like, I love that. Anyway.
It's small little things like that. Same thing. Like just thinking about the movie, you think of small things like that, and you realize, wow, that movie actually had a lot to it. It had a lot to it for what it gave us, and it deserves the praise that it's getting. However, Cruella
Yes.
needs more praise, in my opinion. I'm assuming you haven't seen Cruella,
I have not. And it's
so
funny because I'm looking through the list here of all the Disney of all makes. I don't. I can't. I don't think I've seen any of them.
you don't think you've seen any live action?
I think I saw Beauty and the Beast, but I can't remember if I actually watched the whole thing. Dude, so I again, like I am so steeped in YouTube culture,
Yeah.
and there are certain things where I'm like, okay, like certain movies I'll take the time to watch, but certain movies I'm like, am I like, do I really care? Am I really that invested? I don't think I've seen any of these movies. I think I've only watched like people do video essays or like commentaries
Yeah.
about them.
So okay,
So
this will be an interesting take because you can essentially tell me what the internet feels about them, and then I can
yeah.
give you like my opinion about them. So the Disney live action films, what makes me upset, and every time I watch them, they've all kind of disappointed me. Most of them, they've either disappointed me or they've left me leaving the movie theater feeling flat. And like, I think up until now, the one I liked or cared about the most was Beauty and the Beast. However, Beauty and the Beast is almost a shot for shot remake of Beauty and the Beast, the animated one. So you can't really get mad at it. You can only think, why would you make this other than to have a live action version? And I used to think, man, like, I guess that's cool. Like what they're trying to do is, we have the technology nowadays, and now kids, this is their Beauty and the Beast instead of watching the old cartoons that we grew up with. And that was kind of my justification for Disney or for them. But in reality, it's just another way for them to make money off of something they knew, if it ain't broke, right?
Yeah.
And and then Aladdin was, it's the same story beats with different things. I thought it was really weird. You have probably like the most famous clean rapper from the 90s as your genie, and that you still went with the Robin Williams song because you know how popular people like that kind of stuff. I feel like, Will Smith could have done his own song, like you never had a friend like me.
Yeah.
But no, they basically just did the same one that Robin Williams did. And but then they had things where they did have Will Smith do some songs, or a parody some songs. I'm like, okay, why are you letting him do this one but not that one? And so, and they had some story beats where like Will Smith's character was falling in love with a handmaiden, and then I guess they have kids in the future, or because he's now a free genie, and he doesn't.
Right.
There's just like they changed small things, but it wasn't enough to really like make you like feel like the movie's completely different. And then they have some other things, like they did Pan. So this one's older. This one's where it's like a prequel, where like, the first time Peter Pan gets taken, and his first time experiencing Neverland. They had that one, which I like where they're going in that direction, right? And then they had
well, go ahead. Keep going.
and then they have Mulan, right? Which I was super excited for because I was like, okay, so they're telling the same story but different. So they're not going to hit the same. I mean, maybe they'll hit the same story beats, but they're going to give it a different vibe. And they were like, there's not going to be any music to it, and there's not going to be this and that. And then Mulan just did horrible. So I was kind of, when I saw Cruella, I was like, I don't care. I've been shot. I've been burnt too many times. And then it was finally for free. I was like, all right, let me give it a shot. Let me try it. And it's what it should have been. It reminds me, I feel like this is how Disney should make their films from now on. Like they should just take all the villains and give, like with Maleficent. Oh, that's right. They also had Maleficent. I actually, I think I liked Maleficent, but not as much as I like Cruella. Like Maleficent was like, okay, I've seen it. Like that's cool. But it's the same story told from the villain's perspective. This is like villain origin story. It's like a prequel for the villain. So it's completely new territory that they can just do whatever they want with, right? Kind of like watching the play Wicked.
Right.
And I think that's why it works so well, because they're restricted to getting the character to a certain point, but how the character gets there is all up to the story writers and the boards. They don't have to worry about like, oh, what if we ruin this character? Oh, the fans are going to want this certain point or this certain thing in the story. They're going to want this song, or they're going to want this moment. And I think like that's cool and all, but I think if you're gonna do live actions of of beloved characters, do it with a twist. And another one that I want to talk about is Robin Williams' Peter Pan. What was that one called?
Hook.
Hook.
Uh, and also just real
Go
quick.
for it. I know I was rambling.
So no, because I just want to make sure we're talking about the right stuff. So Pan, you're talking about the Hugh Jackman one, right?
The one with the lip was Hugh Jackman in that?
Yeah,
The one,
well,
the one where
there is
okay,
a
the one where there was
Pan
like,
where Hugh Jackman plays Blackbeard or something.
oh my gosh, he might have been Blackbeard. Is this the one where there was a controversy because they made Tiger Lily?
Yeah, it's Rooney Mara
Yeah,
who was in the
yeah.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake, and it was like, really, you're gonna straight up cast like not she's not just Caucasian. Like Rooney Mara is extremely pale. It was like a big slap in the face at the time.
Okay.
But one thing I just want to point out, just so we're got all of our ducks in a row. So the Peter Pan story is fuck. What's the thing? It's not fair use. Like no one has like rights to the Peter Pan story.
Oh, okay.
So just to kind of make sure we're talking about the same thing. So Pan, which I think the one you're talking about was actually it's not a Disney thing.
It's not
like
a
Peter
Disney
Pan
one.
is an old book that has been retold over time. So like the Pan that you're talking about was actually a Warner Brothers movie, and like Hook, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. We could do an entire
Same.
episode just on that movie.
We should.
Was Columbia.
So okay,
basically Sony.
so my the other one that I was so basically my other example of like, oh, this was when they did a good job, wasn't actually them.
Right. Now, that being said, and you'll potentially get very excited about this. However, Disney is in production on a remake of their animated version of Peter Pan. It's called Peter Pan and Wendy, which is being directed by David Lowery, who did The Green Knight.
David Lowery. Okay, so like I feel like I should be excited, but that just it scares me because they messed
But
up
again, it's
Mulan
like it's
and they
another
messed
remake.
up. Right. It's another remake / reboot, whatever. Okay. Well, we can still compare the two, right? Even though they're not done by Disney.
Oh, absolutely. Because that's the thing. It's like, oh, well, when Disney does it, it's this way. But when
Right.
somebody else does something based off of the same intellectual property, it's done that way.
And like, so Cruella, spoilers a little bit. Not, I mean, I'm not going to go into spoiler territories with Cruella. I just basically got to talk about the plot for a little bit. It's just fun to watch, right? It's not. They don't do anything. To me, they hit all their marks. So it's like it's a 7 for me because they tell a story, and you want to get from point A to point B. The only thing about Cruella that I think could be hard for viewers is if I've never seen 101 Dalmatians. Like, never.
Oh, okay. The Glenn Close versions?
Never seen any of them. I've never seen
Oh,
the
even the
cartoon. I've never seen the live action. I did grow up watching 102 Dalmatians, though. So, I know about 102 Dalmatians with the live action version of that. And Cruella de Vil gets baked into a cake, and all that silly shenanigans. So that's my knowledge going into it, right? So like, if you go into watching Cruella, and you know absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing about the character, right? I think it might be a little bit confusing. I'm getting hydrates in here, so let me take another sip of that. It might get a little confusing because she kind of like is turning bad, and then she has like this act where like she redeems herself, but she never fully really like redeems herself. She still stays in like her bad kind of ways. And I think as an audience member that might confuse you. You might be like, wait, but she stayed as Cruella, and she didn't stay as Alexa or whatever. I forgot her name. Estella. She didn't stay as Estella. And but then, like, you know, your buddy elbows you and he's like, well, yeah, because she's got to be evil by the end of the film, or else, you know,
Right.
there's no villain for 101
That's what this has all been
Dalmatians.
building to.
Right. But it's good. It's like, it does the whole thing where you sympathize for the villain, you sympathize for her, and they don't push it too much, and there's these crazy set pieces, and it's all about, like, it's all about fashion, because that's who she is in 101 Dalmatians. She's just a diva. She's a fashion diva, and, like, this is her as a young fashion diva, and maybe the plot twist is a bit, like, cliche, but it got me off guard. I was like, oh, okay, but, like, not even that much off guard. I was approximately close. I just missed it by a little bit. Like, it has to do with, like, family members, and I was like, oh, your family member did this, and I was like, oh, it wasn't that family member, it was this family member. Okay, well, I had the right idea, right? You know. So, but it doesn't matter. I don't need everything to be a piece of art, right? Especially if I'm watching a movie meant for kids. Like, I don't need it to be the Green Knight. And I think it's well deserving of its 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it is. And I can understand why the fans love it, because it's really flashy. It's really meant for like Michael Bay audience. I know that sounds horrible. I mean like preteens is when I say that. That was a jab at Michael Bay.
How dare you?
It's like
you love Bayhem and you know it.
Those movies literally hurt to watch.
Which ones?
The Transformers.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
I have going off topic. Oh, I was gonna tell you earlier. Don't feel bad about going off topic. We wouldn't be on brand if we stayed on topic.
This is true.
What's it called? I had someone literally watched the entire Twilight series in front of me not too long ago, and it made me want to watch Twilight. I've never seen Twilight. I've only read the books. Yeah, and
Mario,
I was watching it.
We need to do that.
Yeah, we should do that. I was like, and I couldn't help but like watch it while the person was watching it, because I was playing Magic the Gathering. I was playing cards, and you know, the dining room is next to the living room, and I'm like, I look over at the TV to see what's going on. And I was like, man, there are a lot of Twilight fans out there, and there are a lot more that like watched it and didn't read the books. I was like, I don't ever want to hear a Twilight fan talk bad about Star Wars. That's dude,
nice.
it's so cringy, but it's cringy in a way where you can't look away. Like you laugh at the movie, but you're not. It's it's like rewatching the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Like, you're laughing at how whimsical and how silly, but everything is like so serious in the moment, and you're just like, what the heck is happening right now? Yeah, but I need that's next on my agenda. So next week you guys might be hearing me talk about Twilight.
So you've read all the Twilight books, or just the first one?
I've read all of them.
Okay, and you haven't seen any of the movies at all?
Not a single one, no.
Have you had the movies spoiled for you in terms of like how certain things come off in the movies, how certain things are different from the books?
I don't know what's different from the books. When I was like watching it,
I cannot wait. I'm just gonna say I cannot wait to watch the last 15 minutes of Breaking Dawn Part 2 with you then.
Really? Okay, because when I was watching it in passing, I was like, everything seemed to be like on point with the books, and then even the person that was watching it, she would like ask me questions, and she's like, "You're the only other person I know who knows anything about Twilight." I was like, and I would just talk to her about it, and I'd be like, "Well, this is what happened in the books," or I'd be like, "This is what they were thinking in the books," and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah," and but other than that, I have no idea what's going on. It was just like, it'd just be every once in a while I'd like look at the screen and I would watch them talk to each other, and I'll be like, what this is so cringy. Like, what is happening on screen?
Well, the other thing, I'll tell you a quick anecdote real quick. So, like, because we talked about, like, how Benjamin Button for you and Fight Club for me, like, oh, that's the first movie I saw where I realized filmmaking and making, like, da-da-da-da. So, like, I've ever since we had that conversation, I've been trying to kind of log similar stuff in my brain of, like, oh, this is the movie where I first learned this, or this is the first movie where I first saw this. So the first Twilight movie is the movie that I watched where I realized I am an adult. Not, and again, not in the sense of like I am an adult and I don't like this, only kids like this, in the sense of connecting to the characters. Because and again, this is not a spoiler because I imagine it's part of the books as well, but it's the whole, like, you know, they're falling in love, and they're young in high school, and we're in love, and we're being chased by these evil people, and it's like, Bella, you are the only thing that matters now. And it's like, Edward, I would do it. And I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, guys, it gets better. Like, you're fucking, I mean, well, Edward, and this is like the other thing, which just completely takes you out of the moment when you really think about it, is like, Edward's like 1,000, so he's not young. But like, I'm looking at her and I'm like, you'll find somebody else, honey.
Basically.
Like, you're 18, it's fine. Like, Jesus.
That is... I love that.
But the other reason I really want to watch it with you is because the movie, because if you... again, I don't know how. I know you haven't seen the movies, and I don't know how aware you were of like pop culture and the reception of the movies at the time. But like it was like the fucking Beatles coming to the States for the first time, and like Team Edward and Team Jacob.
Yeah,
but
I could have swore like everyone. I could have swore that's what made me think these movies were so good, because everyone was talking about them and everyone loved them.
What makes it so funny now, I mean, they were probably extremely comical at the time, like a good portion of them. But especially when you're watching it now in the wake of Me Too, it's so fucking cringy. Like the whole, like, the two guys fighting over her, you're like, wow, this is such hashtag toxic masculinity. Like I'll just say this, I'll give you a little tease. Like, when you're watching it pre the Me Too movement, it's like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm Team Edward or Team Jacob. They're both such great candidates, blah, 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 blah. When you're watching it post the Me Too movement, like, Jacob is a fuckboy. Like, he is a piece of shit, and no wonder Taylor Lautner can't get work now. Like, it's not his fault, it's just that character is fucking bad news. And I'm like, wow, I'm so ashamed I did not pick up on this 8 years ago or whenever the movies came out.
That's crazy.
They're so great.
That's freaking crazy. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, well, I'm excited now. Now I'm like even more excited than before to go watch them.
Dude, you got to do like a live stream or something. Like, pop the stream open while you're watching it, and like we can like all get on and sync up our play buttons.
I'll do it on Discord.
Chat.
I'll do it on Discord. Well,
dude.
So, because my community, the Twitch community, is on Discord, and anyone else, you know, hey, there's a link in the chat. If you join our community, yeah, we'll do it. I'll watch Twilight with you guys. We'll do. It'll be a community event. We'll watch it with Jeff. Me and Jeff can commentate on it while we're watching it. We'll do it in the Discord, and I can.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, there's like a million Twilight DVDs at work, so I can like.
I know, I've been waiting because, again, like I told you, I've been like building up my physical media collection because I want to start my YouTube channel and all that.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for a reason to pull the trigger and just buy the fucking 5-disc set of Twilight. Like I can't buy it just to have it for a rainy day. Like I have to have a specific reason. Like anything else I'll buy to just keep in storage until the day I need it. But Twilight, nah, dude. There has to be a reason why I'm buying that shit.
Heck yeah, dude. And then you can record it for your YouTube video and stuff like that. This would be great.
Nice.
All right, but Cruella.
Yes.
Apparently me and Jeff are big Twilight fans, so for different reasons, which I think is hilarious.
Yes.
Um,
Different types of media.
different types of. So Cruella, like, so it's these two fashion icons essentially going at each other, and Cruella acts kind of like a vigilante in the film, where this greatest fashion designer in all of the Eastern Hemisphere, is doing these shows, and she essentially she crashes the shows by just one-upping her every time, and it's really spectacular. And then there's plots of murder and mayhem, and it's all about trust and treating people right, and how not to lose yourself in the film. And so, like, the overall moral of the story is, like, don't don't be afraid of who you are, but also, like, there, now that I think about it, there's probably a lot of things in the story. It's the overall message, though, is like, don't be afraid of who you are, but also you're not alone in the world. So, like, the world may make you feel alone because you may be weird and eccentric, but there's nothing wrong with being who you are, and there will always be people that love you, but don't think that those people that love you are just like the rest of the world. Don't think you should treat them like the rest of the world. It's so nice. It's so touching. Like, it's really nice, and I think they kind of, like, they dabble in that message. You know me. By this point, Jeff, we've seen the same movies, and I look into things way deeper than probably the average moviegoer. But I think like that's what I got from the film, and I was like, that's really nice. And of course, it's a Disney production, so it's really flashy and really, like, it's like high budgets, and it's over the top, and it's goofy, and it's cartoonish, but it works. It works really well, and
Nice.
it has Emma Stone in it, so, like, say less. If you liked if you liked Easy A, you'll like Cruella. Which makes sense for casting Emma Stone in this, because she was. It just reminded me of Easy A lot.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Easy A is great.
Now, let me know for the, because I've told you that, like, the other live action films were just basically mimics of their predecessors. And my thing is, okay, that's fine, but give us something. Okay, here's my thing. Give us something that we haven't seen before, so the writers aren't, like, ball and chain down to the story. So give us something like Hook, where you take a character and we see, okay, what happened with Cinderella after she got married and put into the thing, right? What happens to her and Prince Charming?
Show me Cinderella and Prince Charming in marriage counseling.
So, like, how'd you two met? Well, her shoe fell off.
Like, I guess you didn't think, oh, maybe I should get to know her more than just the shoe fits. Like, what the fuck, buddy?
And then, like, Prince is like, well, if the shoe fits, and yeah. So, and then
that wasn't a saying until you did it. You can't use sayings based off your own life. That's really narcissistic.
You pay my taxes, okay? All right? I'm paying you for this one session. And then Cinderella chimes in and is like, he's always like this. He tells jokes, and then he gets mad when people don't pay taxes.
Cinderella was the one saying all that.
Oh, really? Okay, I was seeing the marriage counselor.
That's funny.
Like, show the audience things that they haven't seen before. Show us prequels. Show us sequels. And then let's see what chat says. So I haven't seen Cruella, but I like Maleficent. I think that was well done. Villain side of the story. Yeah, you have this whole, like, people love Disney villains. There's products of Disney villains, and they don't get as much face time. Think about it. Like, the Disney villain does not get as much face time as, like, villains do nowadays, right? And so if you were to show their backstory and give them those backstories, whether they're just evil the whole time or whether, I don't think you should make everyone sympathetic, right? I liked Maleficent as well. I haven't seen the second one, so I don't know where to judge. I want to see the second one. I can just go watch it on Disney Plus. But give us villains, give us sequels to stories we already know. Show us, like, if you're going to give us a story of Aladdin, Show us what happened to Genie after he got set free.
Yeah,
Show us
like
like
the kids are gonna buy the toys anyway because it's pretty colors and it's a toy.
mm-hmm.
They don't need context.
Yeah, the kids are gonna watch it. And really you're trying to get other people, because I've never seen Peter Pan. All I know about Peter Pan is Hook, and I love Hook.
Oh yeah.
Freaking love Hook. And like I know a lot about Peter Pan through Hook because they make references and they talk about it, and then growing up it's kind of hard not to see like people reference Peter Pan or to see Peter Pan in commercials or in trade. Like you just grow up and through osmosis you absorb information about something you've never seen before that's really popular in pop culture. And
Mm-hmm.
so like, but Hook has been the only thing that I know about Peter Pan, and that's stayed with me for a long time. And I feel like more things can do that and have an impact on kids these days. There's probably kids that have only ever seen Maleficent, and then maybe one day when they're older, they're like, you know what? Let me see where Maleficent's from. Like, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's horrible. Why did why did they make her like that?
Well, I think what we're dealing with is and you said this earlier, the idea of there's the artistic side and then there's the business side.
Yeah,
And I think I'm very in line with you because I want to believe that the the intent here is, well, we want kids to enjoy these stories that we loved when we were kids, but because of how technology and how media and consumerism of media works right now, they're not going to watch these old cartoons. It's the same thing like I imagine, because I felt this way, but like I imagine you can relate to this, like watching black and white movies. Like I don't want to
yeah.
watch a black and white movie; it's gonna be boring. And it's like, well, no, it's just not what you're used to. And I want to believe that that's where they're coming from. And they're like, well, let's remake these movies so that they can experience the story that we loved when we were kids. But at the same time, it's just fucking business. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like,
And
that's what it is. It's them going, how do we make money? Okay, let's do it again.
and like you're 100, I think you're 100% right on that fact, because when I didn't watch Indiana Jones for the longest time because
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was like that's an old movie, right? And for me being the kid that I was, couldn't put together that Star Wars is also an old movie. And I thought that's an old movie. I don't want to go watch that movie. I don't want to go see Indiana Jones at all. And then I think I was around like 17 years old. I was with my dad. I finally was like, I'm just gonna watch this film. Like people keep talking about it. I feel weird for always like never knowing what people are talking about, and I keep seeing culture references. And then like I go and I watch it, and Indiana Jones is like one of my favorite movies of all time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow. And I think
I
it's
know.
because I refused to watch it because it was old, and I thought like I don't want to see something old, right?
Yeah.
But now it's exactly what you're saying. Like now I go watch it, and it's I can't believe I would go to such lengths not to watch it. And oh, I agree with what you're saying because of that, and that sucks because like kids are not gonna watch it. Kids are not gonna go out and watch
Yeah.
old things because they feel like it's not worth their time or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's weird too because it doesn't even extend to this is another tangent, but that stigma doesn't even or it's not just relegated to quote unquote older material. Like you look at something like Clerks, the first film that Kevin Smith did, and even at the time, a lot of people were like, "I don't want to watch Clerks. It's in black and white." And you're like, "No, you don't understand. He shot it in black and white because they couldn't afford to develop the film in color. That's the only reason it's in black and white. It's not a black and white movie. It's just they just shot it that way because it was cheaper." Or like you look at Parasite and you're like, "Oh my god, have you seen Parasite?" And people are like, "I hate foreign language films." And you're like, "No, you don't understand. Like, yes, it's in a foreign language. It has subtitles, but this is the most American foreign language movie you've ever seen, because Bong Joon-ho was raised on Quentin Tarantino and Sam, like he grew up on Sam Raimi films and Tarantino films and Martin Scorsese films. Like if you love those guys, this, like, you got to watch this movie. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, it's got subtitles. I don't want to do it. And it's like, no, but, and then people go and see Parasite and they're like, that movie was amazing.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's that.
So yeah.
There's that barrier, and like, chat's over here saying the funniest thing about me is that Star Wars is older than Ninja. Yeah, I was an idiot. I was an idiot. And now I'm like, and that's the thing with Lighthouse as well. Like, Lighthouse is one of those movies that I keep putting off, and I know I need to watch it. I keep putting it off. I don't need to watch it, but it's something I want to watch. It's something I really want to watch, and but I think these films. I think that's what Disney's trying to do, right? Like, I think they're trying to hit a double agenda. I think if they put out Beauty and the Beast, and they have Emma Watson playing as the Beauty, you're pulling it, and these people come in and they watch it, and they bring their kids, right? Because they're like, oh, I liked Beauty and the Beast growing up. Oh, let me bring my kid, or let me bring my nephew. Let me bring so and so. You bring them in, and then those kids maybe later on will be like, oh, let me go buy the original Beauty and the Beast, or let me go watch the original Beauty and the Beast, and then that might bring some things on it. But I think, and this is my opinion, right? I like speaking to those executives, if any of them are listening, I really do believe that if you do stuff like make movies like Cruella and you make movies like Hook, then you're still doing the same thing. You're introducing them to that universe or that world, and they then if they like it enough, if they fall in love with it enough, they then become curious to go seek more of it.
Well, yeah, there is that. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think I'm always just reticent to go along with that idea because I've just have become so cynical.
Well, I think you're right.
And jaded about the industry. It's like, it's all like, I want to believe it's all. It just comes down to money.
It really does. It really does. And I think every once in a while we'll get something that is,
which real quick,
is great.
Just to explain what I mean. I'm not saying when it comes to the people spending money so that the movie can get made. Like when it comes to the studio heads, because like I'm not talking about the directors or the writers or
of course
or
of
the
course.
actors or the all the crew, cinematographer, costume designer, etc. Even the producers, like the people who are credited as producers. I'm talking about when you're watching the credits and it's like VP of production or CEO of the people who are just in suits. And they have no idea, they don't care who the director is, or like they just care about who the star is and what's the movie, that sort of thing. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think that, talking about Cruella, I don't think that Craig Gillespie, the director, is going in with the mindset of, okay, how am I going to frame this shot? How am I, like, with all my angles, how am I going to cover this scene so that we make the most money at the box office?
Right.
He's not doing that.
No.
Emma Stone is not going, okay, how do I approach this character so that we can guarantee a blockbuster opening weekend? She's not doing that. She's going in because she wants to play the character. It's interesting to her. I just mean the people who are spending money are the people who are like, we don't give a shit if it's good or not. We just want it to make money.
Yeah. And to further this point, like, I agree with you 100%. 100%. And like, I'll go on tangents on my stream talking about video games. So like, this is on topic, kind of off topic. So the reason I think when we say that these Disney movies fail, and I wish I could do this. Maybe if anyone wants to do this for us, this makes me wish I did some homework before doing this episode. But whenever me and Jeff or the internet say that these Disney movies fail, we're talking about they failed the audience, right? They didn't fail those VPs or whatever. If they did, we wouldn't keep getting them. The reason we keep getting them is because they are making money. They are
Yeah.
they're making money, and they're making enough money to continue on. And like, okay, I said I was going to go on a tangent, but I'm staying on topic. I haven't hit my tangent just yet. But so like Cars from Pixar, Cars is the most underselling, undergrossing. Yeah, the undergrossing, mind you. That means money before they take out for having to pay for everything. Undergrossing film for Pixar slash Disney in like their library. But they made 3 of them. You want to know why they made 3 of them? Because the toys sell. The toys are the number one selling toys. They sell like freaking hotcakes. They sell so much that it justifies them to make another movie to put more toys in. Yeah. And if you ever wondered like why Cars went into the direction of like Super Spies and Mater, it was probably because Mater was probably the most bought toy. And so they were like, oh yeah, let's give him another go.
Mater.
We need more Mater.
More Mater.
More Mater. More time. So and like when we're talking about the industry, I think, and when I complain about video games, because video games are my passion as well as like movies and things like that. When I complain about video games, I talked about this recently on stream. The thing that bothers me probably the most is that they will make games and they do not care about the gameplay, the systems, the like mechanics of the game. They will make the game and they will put something in the game. Let's just say loot boxes for now, because I don't want this to go on forever. They'll put something into games like loot boxes, and the game will be broken. Something about the game will be broken that all the fans will just dislike and just hate. But because they're making so much money off of loot boxes or so much money off of buying skins, they don't care to fix the game. They're not going to fix it. We live in a day and age where games literally come out unfinished. Right? And games do not, and they put in patches, and you have to download something day one when you bought the game, and what you're downloading is finishing and fixing issues with the game, and then the game still has issues, and 6 months later, you won't get to play the finalized version of the game because they've put in patch 3.9.5, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing correlates to movies. We keep getting these movies, that don't work because of what Jeff said. Because the VP, the guy paying the people to make the movie, doesn't care. He's like, hey, I spent about $800,000 on this, and we made $2 million box office. I'm good, right? I made my money back and then some.
Dude, why do you think there are so many freaking horror movies? It's because, like, horror. This is the weirdest thing to me. This is so fucking weird. Horror is the black sheep of the movie industry.
Yeah,
in terms of genre.
You need to go into that with me. Like on one of these episodes, you need to just explain that to me, because I never realized that until you said something.
Well, I mean, and we can like, this will be like a whole other, like its own episode at some point. But like, for example, like the Saw movies, like the first Saw was, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I could pull them up, but I want this to be like a continuous thing that I am saying in sequence. I don't want to pause and look up numbers.
Right,
but
same.
The first Saw movie made 650,000, or the budget was 650 grand. Like that's the like minimum budget level before you get into like the next tier. Like if you cross 1 million, you go into like another tier with all the unions and stuff. I'm getting in the weeds. Sorry, getting to my point. Actually, the numbers don't matter. Like Saw, like all of James Wan's movies are great examples where it's like it's a super low, it's under $1 million and it makes hundreds of millions of dollars. Insidious, it costs like $2.5 million to make the movie. It makes hundreds of millions of dollars. Here's another great example. I love this. So Happy Death Day, which I think is a movie that I mentioned at some point that you haven't seen, but it's this producer named Jason Blum. and I'm sure you're familiar with Blumhouse. You've definitely seen trailers for his movies, but it's a guy named Jason Blum, and like name any horror movie that's come out in the last 10 years, he's been involved with it.
Okay.
But his whole prerogative is keep the budgets low and make all of the movies. Because his thing is he just loves the horror community and he wants everybody to have a chance. So his whole thing is like, if you've got a good concept, if you've got a good script, I'll give you some money to go make your movie. Like, I'm not picky. Like, I want everybody to have a chance. I want everybody to make their movie.
Yeah.
But his whole prerogative is if we keep the budgets low, some of them are gonna hit and we're gonna make a crap ton of money. Some of them are probably not gonna hit, but that's okay because the ones that hit really freaking hit.
Yeah.
And so I actually do want to bear with me because
No,
I
go for
love
it.
this statistic. But
Okay.
he made this, or he produced rather, this film called Happy Death Day, which is basically like a slasher version of Groundhog Day.
Yes.
So this girl wakes up in the morning, she goes about her day, and at the end of the day, somebody kills her. And as soon as she dies, she wakes up in the same place that she woke up in. So it's like she's stuck in this time loop of living out the same day over and over and over again. And at the end of the day, she always dies. And
Yeah.
the concept is she has to figure out who the killer is. Who is this person killing me? And once she solves that mystery, she breaks the time loop. So yeah, it's Groundhog Day, but like a horror movie version. But in terms of, okay, where's the budget? I love this. Okay, so the budget for the first movie. Okay, so it had a sequel.
Yes.
That's ultimately what I'm getting
Happy
at.
Death Day to You, right?
Yes. So the budget for Happy Death Day is 4.8 million. So let's just round it up to 5. The worldwide gross is 125 million. So we spend 5 million, we made 125 million.
Jeez.
So that's a shitload of money, right?
That is a lot.
So if we look up Happy Death Day to You, I think so. What I'm getting at is they spent. So on the second movie, I can't get it. Anyway, so the first movie they spent 5. On the second movie they spent 10, because they were like, well, shit, it made a crap ton of money. Like, let's just double the budget.
Yeah.
And make a bigger, better movie, which is amazing because the second movie, like, this is another movie that I would love to like do a commentary, watch along type thing with you, because the second movie is like a sci-fi time travel movie. Like it's total Fast and Furious. Like they go off the rails in part 2, and I love it. But in the second movie, I'm pulling it up here. This is amazing content for the podcast listeners. So the budget for the second movie was 9 million. So just for shits and giggles, let's bump that up to 10. We'll say they doubled the budget. Now, the worldwide gross for part 2 was 64 million.
Okay.
So we doubled the budget,
but we made
halved the box office.
Okay.
That being said, think about this. For the budget, we spent 10 million, but we made 60 million. So if you think about both of those movies, and we're talking about money spent in retrospect, for the sequel, they spent twice the money, made half the money as the first one, but they still did 6 times their budget. That's crazy. Still a win for that studio.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like that's where you really kind of have to get into the weeds, and this is very inside baseball, I know, but that's where you do kind of have to pay attention to the numbers. Is like you could look at the gross, like you could look at the box office for the first movie and the second movie and be like, oh, the second movie must have sucked because it did terrible. And it's like, well, they still made 6 times the amount of money they made on it. It's a fucking hit, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing where, like, to be like a quote-unquote blockbuster, you have to make at least 100 million opening weekend, and they only made 64 in their entire theatrical run. And it's like, no, the movie's still a hit. Like, nobody lost their jobs, nobody got fired. Like, they're good. And that's what I love about the horror genre, is like, it always gets shit on. It's always put on the back burner in terms of like big Hollywood, of just like, oh, horror movies, who gives a shit? But like, dude, those movies make bank. They really, really do.
and which is why they continue to. I just didn't realize because when you say the numbers, it makes me think. It makes me really think like, whenever they look at these numbers, because I do the same thing with video games, but instead of like numbers, you look at player base. So like you look at World of Warcraft has been under the magnifying glass a lot recently. And I know we're off topic, but I feel like it's still topical to Disney because I feel like we're
talking
wondering
about what people spend money on,
right? What people spend money
movies.
to make this happen. So you look at video games, and it's the same thing. It's you see the player base dropping, but then you'll get like reports from Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, being like, "Oh, we had our best. We had really good yearly this time. We're hitting profits. We're hitting all our numbers. We're making money, right? We're continuing to." And it's like, okay, well, they're having their best year yet, but their player base is lower than before. It's 'cause, like, if you look at how video games were 15 years ago, you bought a game and that was it. You bought the game, you took it home, you played it. That was it. Matter of fact, when it comes to consoles, so PCs, so on my PC right here, I spent nearly $3,000 on this PC so I could stream and play video games on it and play video games while streaming.
That's pretty good for a PC.
Yeah, and it does its job, right? So the PS5 and Xbox Series X are probably stronger than my PC, if not as strong, right? So they can do all the things that my PC can do, all the bells and whistles. But you're only paying $500. Console company, or those big Microsoft and Sony, literally, it's better for them to lose money on their console than to make money on their console because they make it all back in video games. They literally like I said, like World of Warcraft is at its lowest it's ever been for a while. And yet they're making tons of money. Probably not as much as like their peak days, but they're making tons of money to the point where they don't feel like they need to change anything. And this is mainly because when I go into World of Warcraft, there's an in-store game. There's an in-store store. Or there's an in-game store. Jeez, words. There's an in-game store. And there's a bunch of other things that you can buy. I can buy gold now in World of Warcraft. Before that used to just be a mobile thing where it's like, oh yeah, you want to keep playing this game? Buy our gems, spend money on our gems. No, you can do that in World of Warcraft now, which is crazy and stupid and ruins the economy of the world. So really take that into movies, and I love how you brought up horror films and how, like, yeah, they may never be blockbusters, but they're still quadrupling, if not sextupling their numbers. This, to me, tells me that, like, until, like, movies like Cruella and movies like Hook do better money-wise than movies like Aladdin live action, Mulan live action, and so-and-so live action, we're going to continue to get them. We're going to continue to get those things in, because they don't care. Because what the movie industry does now is quite literally, if it ain't broke. So if it made them money in the past, like think of the sequels we're on. We have 9 Star Wars films. We have George Lucas said there would never be sequels to his Star Wars films because it's just Darth Vader's story. It's the Skywalker story. The Skywalker story ends at episode 6. Now, he envisioned 9 films, but after he made the prequels, he felt like they weren't needed. Right? And Disney buys Star Wars. And I think, like, as much as I like the sequels, I think I really love the other things they've been making out of it. I think those have been doing better for them. I think Rogue One, Mandalorian, Solo. I don't care what anyone says. Solo's fantastic. You guys can all shut up. You don't know anything.
I need to check that out.
Solo.
Finally watch Solo.
I love Solo. Solo's
I'm
so
gonna
good.
pump up the brightness, I've been told, but aside from that,
I don't get that. Like the parts that are dark are just parts where they're talking. Like, why do you need to see his face that bad? Like, it's just
I need to Mario. I need to see. Film is a visual medium.
I
I
don't
need to
get the
see
darkness part.
the image.
That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know what they're. I think there's one scene where it's dark and it's not even that bad. I do not get what people. I know what you're talking about though, but like when I watch the film, I probably need to watch it again. I'll probably watch it again and be like, oh yeah, that scene is pretty dark. I wonder why it's so dark in this scene. Uh, I'm very biased when it comes to Solo, but Solo is the pinnacle of a Star Wars adventure movie. Also, I meant to say this a long time ago. I meant to do shout outs to chat, but chat saying I definitely fell into that trap. I had so many toys from that movie, talking about the Cars movie. Yeah, that. Hey, it's okay, right? We've all been there. We've all done it. Don't feel bad if you like it. You like it, right?
Hey man, I bought a fucking Harley Quinn statue when Suicide Squad was being marketed because it was like, oh man, she looks awesome. That shit years later went to half price and sold the same day. So there you go. Because I was like, I don't. What do I? Why do I have this? I don't need this. Why do I have this?
If you're watching me live, or if you ever tune in to watch me live, you already know I'm a sucker for consumerism. So, just to give those podcast viewers an image, my entire back wall is full of Funko Pops that go up to the ceiling. I have a giant.
It's a pretty big wall.
It's a pretty big wall. And then there's a giant statue of Sylvanas, who is a character from the game that I was just talking about, World of Warcraft, that cost me in the triple digits of numbers to pay for.
Actually, even worse, I don't know why I referenced the Harley Quinn. The even worse one is after Batman v Superman, I bought a Wonder Woman statue, like the fucking like really high quality one that's like 12 inches tall, and it's like Gal Gadot standing on top of the Batman Superman logo thing. It is currently still at Half Price Books in a display case with a $250 price tag, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for the reminder of my questionable choices in life of how I spend my money. Thank you, HPP. I love you. It's not their fault. I fucking gave it to them.
Right. That tangent actually probably made me lose what I was saying. Now that I had fun with it. It wasn't even a tangent. It was just a.
Oh no, we were talking about Bex saying he fell into the trap of buying the toys from Cars.
Before that.
Oh crap!
Yeah, it's gone now.
Money, movies, Solo, Brightness, all the brightness and rewatching, and George Lucas.
This is the problem of. Oh right. Thank you.
He said.
This is the problem with going off topic all the time, but it's really fun. They weren't even supposed to go off that far, right? But they do it because they know, well, Star Wars was successful in the past. If we keep making Star Wars, people are going to keep showing up. And why do you think? When's the last time? And I know people probably know and like are 100% on top of this, but not the last time. How often do they make just original movies anymore? Think back to the 90s when like movies were just being made all the time off of just like whims and ideas and other things like that, right? Now think about movies nowadays. They're always off of a book, a best-selling book. It had to be a book that sold well, or like
it's got to be based off of IP.
Yeah, or
intellectual property.
A video game that's really popular. They want something that's already been successful so that they know they won't lose their money. It's really hard for a director or someone to be like, "Hey, I have this idea for a film. I want to do it. I would, I think this would be good, great." And this kind of probably the reason why like I'm such a huge fan of Taika Waititi, because he's producing and making things happen. Like the season 3 of freaking What We Do in the Shadows is coming out. I'm super hyped for that. He did Jojo Rabbit. To my knowledge,
Amazing.
that's not based off of anything.
No,
No.
completely original.
And it's so good. It's so good. I mean, you could say, if you want to stretch it, you could be like, well, it's World War II. Who's not going to go and watch like a World War II movie? That's fair, right? That's fair. However, it's still really original, really like good in that aspect. But I mean, all the Marvel films, all this other stuff, like even Loki, that's all from comic books. It's already been done and said. Yeah, they add their own flair to it. They add their own thing, but it's source material that's already been done. Mobius, the whole thing, King the Conqueror, all this stuff already happened. They know how these characters are written. They know who we like and who we don't like already before they put them on the big screen. It's just a matter of, okay, of these things, which ones are going to sell for us? Which one can we make happen? Which one can we make a reality? And then from that reality, like, I got to give shout outs to Disney for this, even though I'm like pooping on them all night. They know they've taken products that like have had no name and they've brought them up, right? Like Guardians of the Galaxy. We say this all the time. And now they're doing Eternals. Eternals is going to be coming out soon.
Shang-Chi is this Friday, right?
Oh, that's right. I know what I'm doing this weekend.
I know what we're talking about next Sunday.
Oh, we're both watching that? Sweet. So they're gonna be, they take those things, they take these liberties and they take these chances, but they're taking chances on stuff that's already exist. And that's exactly what they're doing with their Disney live action films. They're like, these movies worked once upon a time, pun not intended. That's just how I talk. Wow, that was great. I loved it. Now it's a pun that's going to be intended. These movies came out once upon a time, and now they worked for us once. Why not make them work again? And instead of like doing the storybook kinds of things, it's a live action of their movie, not a live action of the book or of its original content, a live action of their movie, which is very egotistical of them. Like, they're not even trying to hide the fact that they know they made money from this. And they pull at your heartstrings and they pull at your nostalgia, and they don't need to do that. They just don't. They can make these films unique, and they can give people more creative liberties with the same characters but in different situations. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that's what's gonna fix it, right? Mulan proved that to me very clearly. I just think that it would help. I think it would help. Especially like, you have the name recognition already. Like Disney, Pixar comes up with something new every year, and people flock to it because they have the name, they have the brand. You know you're gonna watch something good.
That being said, though, I do, well, fuck no, never mind. And this is my problem. I was about to start voicing opinions of the YouTube community that are not actually mine. So I'm gonna withdraw the fact that I was about to say something.
Well, I want to hear it now.
Well, no.
Well, we know, like, it's not your voice, so you're good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think like the thing with Pixar is at a certain point maybe slow down a little bit.
Yeah, it takes some time to make your films
because like because what was Soul, like, a lot of people really liked it. A lot of people thought it was kind of meh. Onward, which was actually the one that came before Soul, which I did see. A lot of people really liked it. A lot of people thought it was kind of meh. And then fucking Luca, which came out like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Like, which I didn't even know was a thing. Like, so it's like Pixar made another. Holy shit! Like, I thought like they did Soul. That's the new Pixar movie, right? No, Luca. They did this Luca movie, and I'm like, okay. And a lot of people think it's amazing, and a lot of people think it's kind of meh. And so it feels like what I'm to understand, at least from the people that I am listening to and again, just want to make that very clear. A, this is not my personal opinion. B, I'm only voicing opinions of the people that I know of and not the entire world. But it seems to me in my stratosphere that like with Pixar, it's just very kind of down the middle, and it's like it's not the way that it used to be with Pixar, where each and every entry was like, this is something new and interesting, and we're talking about a new topic. I guess it's all kind of they have found their formula, and now they're just kind of churning them out one after the other.
That's an interesting thing. I did realize that Pixar was making like more stuff more frequently, but I still feel like the quality's there, right? I think that and then, like this is coming from me. I think Luca, because I'm thinking about like Up, right? I'm thinking of Up, and then
Oh, can we not talk about fucking Ed Asner died today, man?
oh, did he?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think he. I didn't see anything because, of course, like I just saw headlines start popping up, and so I was like, no, never mind. I'm not going on the internet today.
Oh no.
But,
So
yeah,
okay, so I think
he died
about
in his sleep last night.
I think about like The Incredibles. I think about
I love that you just pivoted right away. That's so sweet. That was amazing. That was amazing. You're the sweetest gentleman ever.
and then I just, and then I
So I think about
and then
Toy
I
Story
compare it.
2.
I compare it to these that came out, right? And to me, the quality is the same, right? The quality in the film, they're not. It doesn't seem like they're skipping any corners. I do understand what people are saying. However, my thing might be if you watch Pixar movies back to back to back to back, they do have the same consistency of they're not as big and as crazy as some other films that come out, right? Mm-hmm. So like the biggest thing about Toy Story, the biggest thing that happens in Toy Story is they have to chase down a truck.
Right.
If you talk about it, like if you say it out loud, it sounds really mundane and just like everyday. And I think that's the thing about Pixar is they put these magical elements into everyday life to make them more relatable. And if you watch them back to back to back to back, you may think, oh, this is formulaic and this is they're churning them out, or they just make the same thing over again, or they're not that incredible, pun intended. And because even in The Incredibles, it's not like they had some huge crazy, well, I guess they did, I guess they fought the robot at the end, but it wasn't like the Avengers where there's an army coming and there's a nuclear explosion on its way and oh no, we're gonna lose. No, it takes place on an island. And it's about a family trying to fix themselves. And then even the second one, it takes place on a yacht away from the city. And the big crashing event is the yacht's going to run into the city. And you have Speed 2 happening all over again. And
with the Green Goblin.
Introducing the Green Goblin this time. And I'm going to read this real quick and I'll get back to it. So chat says, I also think the same formula is a thing with the recent Disney movies to Moana, Raya and the Jungle... And Jungle Cruise all have the same plot. I have not seen Jungle Cruise. I'm glad you. I'm so happy you brought this up because I want to bring this up. I want to highlight on that. And
go back.
I think that these films, because they release so quickly, and we didn't have to wait, and we didn't rest between Pixar films, people start to notice it more quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like they start to realize, oh, because Onward to me was fantastic. Luca is so great. It's a movie about coming out. Luca is, and then what's the other one?
Well,
what's the one that I'm missing?
Real quick on Luca, that's part of what I've heard is that the a large portion of the LGBTQ community is like, oh my god, this movie is transformative. It's the most important movie that I've seen in the last 10 years. Like huge accolades from that entire community, and like general audiences are just like, yeah, it was okay. So again, like if it speaks, like dude, again, like fucking Onward, to me, was and I'm not trying to. You say what you were saying about Onward, and then I'll say my thing. I
Well,
don't want to
okay,
step
so
on what you were saying.
basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is, compared to the live action Disney films where people like it or they hate it, I think that's the reason you're getting the I like it and then the meh. And I'm not trying to direct this at you, Jeff. I guess I'm speaking to the internet right now. And you get the meh is I think the meh is coming from like people just seeing, okay, well, at the end of the day, it is a business and they are going to put out something that's on brand. So that's like you saying, well, all Coca-Cola commercials are the same. Well, it's like, well, yeah, because they're trying to sell a product to a certain, like, and
Right.
it's,
And also like the community that I am steeped in, and like I mean we can throw Marcus in there, like he's one of those people, and
Yeah.
that's somebody that you can relate to because you watch his channel. Like these are people who just watch stuff all the fucking time.
right.
Like their job is I watch all of the things.
Exactly.
So if you watch if you watch a handful of movies a year, you're going to have a different opinion about those movies than somebody who watches all of the movies that come out every year.
Right.
Because
they're,
so I think that kind of skews the difference a little bit.
Because then because that's what makes a critic different from like an average moviegoer is the fact that they see the differences. You know what I mean? Like to them everything looks the same and they're like, oh wait, okay, I can see the difference between the one and two. So to give them credit, but yeah, I love Cosmonaut Marcus. I do find myself disagreeing with him from time to time, but then it's funny because then he'll like go back and he'll rewatch his own stuff and he'll be like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
And I've done
this
the same
is
thing
easily
too.
2 points lower, or actually I'm going to make this a point higher.
You're right, and I do the same thing, and I think that's okay. Like our opinions change, but it's not necessarily always an opinion. Sometimes you missed something, or you didn't see something quite there, or maybe you're just raw. You're still raw of a feeling, or maybe you attached to one thing a little too much, and you realize, it's actually not that bad, right? And like, going on, did you have to say about? Okay, you have to go to bed. Yeah, no, dude. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for enjoying the podcast, and thanks for some of the feedback. I love interacting with chat.
Bex.
Yeah, thanks for listening, man. You go to bed. And have a good night. Go watch some Pixar. Go to sleep. But Moana, it was weird when I watched Raya. I was hyped for Raya. Like super hyped for Raya. And
are you saying that as a Korra fan, perhaps? I've heard a lot of comparisons to Korra because it's like.
I guess maybe I was just excited for like the action or not, but it does relate a lot to Avatar and the Last Airbender.
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, it was okay. It was okay. That was okay. Like same with Moana. I watched Moana and I was like, it's okay. And I don't know why I felt that way about those movies. I think I need to like rewatch them, but I don't know. Those were the movies where I was like, meh. And I didn't even realize that Moana and Raya had like similar plots until Bex just brought that up, because that is true. They do kind of like have to get to point A to point B in a certain amount of time, and then all the while learn about. I mean, they teach different lessons though, so that's my thing. Because Raya is all about like learning how to put trust into people, learning how to trust. And then Moana is learning about like self-confidence.
And also like identity and heritage. Like what does it mean to come from somewhere and come from tradition, and how does that complement but also conflict with who you are and who you want to be?
Right.
Because her whole thing is like, I want to be an adventurer, and her people are like, no, we're not adventurers. But then she finds out, oh, our people used to be adventurers. But it's okay if you want to be an adventurer, that's okay. Yeah, kind of like what you were saying about Cruella. Like if you want to be this way, it's fine. If you want to be someplace else, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I,
Yeah, and I love hearing what you're saying about Moana in terms of you like being meh about it, because like my initial reaction to that was like, oh, that is completely different than how I related to it. But when I think about it, I'm I would agree with you. I am also overall very meh about Moana,
right.
but a couple of the musical numbers because I fucking love musicals and I fucking love Lin-Manuel Miranda because he did all the musical numbers for that movie. Like, I mean, How Far I'll Go is just fucking great. Like that's it it's just it's again, it's that type of movie that like I can put on and I'm just sort of watching and I'm like, all right, this is cool, like whatever. But then as soon as she's all like, I've been staring at the water far as I can remember, or like whatever. I don't know the lyrics, but like as soon as that starts, I'm like, everybody shut the fuck up and look at the screen.
My
It's amazing.
my sister loved Moana. I think I talked about this with you too. Like she loved that film, and it really attached to her, and she loved the musical numbers, and she would sing along with them too. So I do know that movie had an impact on a lot of people, and I do know it's good. But for me, I was just like, okay, like same thing with Soul. Like Soul, I watched Soul and I was like, eh. And
I need to watch
with
Soul.
Wally, I thought Wally was like, eh.
See, I was about to exclaim thank you, but then I was like, why do I want to shit on the people that really like Wally? So instead, I will say, no, I agree. I agree too. I was kind of, I mean, I can see the appeal,
Yes.
especially from like kind of an objective, zoomed out point of view of like, wow, this is extremely different. Because like it's like a silent film, you know. It's extremely show don't tell
Right.
because nobody's saying anything for like 75% of that movie. But yeah, like in the moment, like when I saw it, I remember being just sort of like, yeah, this is all right.
Yeah. And that's why when I heard you say recently, or when you were speaking for the internet of those like movie critics, and and the movie critics were saying, oh yeah, recently the Pixar films have been meh. I'm like, but have they though? Like I know when someone says Pixar, everyone wants to like freak out and be like, dude, Pixar makes the best movies. And I think it's because there's a Pixar movie for everyone, and that's why like everyone thinks of them so highly. But there's also a lot of Pixar movies that are not for everyone, but they still are entertaining. Whereas like you can't say that about the Disney live action films.
Yeah, and to be just to be transparent, so kind of my go-to source for like so I listen to this podcast called the Sardonicast, which is a podcast done by 3 YouTubers who are very big in the we are on YouTube and we make videos about movies community. And it's Ralph the Movie Maker, and it's these other 2 guys. It's Adam, and the name of his channel is Your Movie Sucks. And then there's Alex, and the name of his channel is I Hate Everything.
Oh my gosh.
So again, just to kind of give a base level of like that's kind of where we're coming from. Like and again, like so Adam who does Your Movie Sucks, he also is the guy who has a gaming channel called Adam Plays, and he's the guy who plays Red Dead Redemption 2 and just like bumps into people.
Of course.
Like he's the guy who like will just like troll the game. And again, he's not trying to break the game. He's not trying specifically to be like, I'm here to expose all the flaws in your game. It's just that that's how he has fun.
Yeah.
Like he's the type of guy. Like another thing, like he will be streaming Red Dead Redemption 2 for like 6 straight hours, but then if he gets hungry and he like orders something from like DoorDash or whatever, when his food arrives on stream, he'll just grab his food and then he'll find the nearest saloon and just start playing poker. Which is like, okay, if you want to play poker in Red Dead Redemption 2, that's fine. But like, am I really? But like, that's his thing. He's like, hey, if you want to watch my stream where I'm just playing fucking poker while I'm eating sushi in the background, like, that's up to you. I don't give a
Ooh.
shit.
Sushi sounds good. No, I
But anyway,
went
like just
hard
to give you a
in
base
poker in
level
Red Dead
of like
Redemption.
the personalities of the types of people. There's a lot of
Well,
cynicism. There's a lot of kind
I'm
of
sure but I'm glad you brought it up, right? Because that's kind of like the rebuttal to it. Because I want that. I don't want it just for me and you to constantly just be like yes men's like, dude, I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying. I love what you I want to hear something else. I want to hear from someone else that doesn't agree with us. And then I also want to just tell them why they're wrong. And
but that's the beauty of what we're talking about, though. And this is like a grander scale topic, but like I love living, or I love consuming and talking about media these days, because in my mind it's not about I'm right and you're wrong, or I am wrong and you are right. It's I have an opinion, you have a different opinion.
yeah.
That's fucking cool.
I
Isn't
agree.
that great?
It's the best thing ever. I love hearing other people's opinions. I really do. And because it makes me think, okay, well, how did they get there, right? And what does that mean to them? And can I understand that? And do I agree with it? And sometimes hearing someone else's opinion will open my eyes, and other times it shows me how closed-minded other people are. But I'm not saying I guess I just like to dunk on people or stunt on people, but I'm not I'm not trying to say it's about being right or wrong. Jeff is way more what he's saying about like how it's just great to have other opinions. I agree with him, and I agree 100%. And no, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad, no matter like if that's just their whole shtick, right? I'm always happy to hear it, and I want to hear more of it. And I think I love that kind of stuff. But overall, honestly, I think the Disney live action films have failed the audience. This is my opinion.
Yes.
I think they have failed the audience. I think whenever I see a movie, now it's like, so I'm playing the Beauty and the Beast trailer right now in the background, and
Yeah. Which I'm watching, I'm like, I still don't know if I've actually seen this movie or not.
and I remember
I
like
can't remember if I watched it on Netflix or if I just watched it covered on YouTube.
I watched it,
Which might speak to the quality of these fucking movies, that I can't even remember if I just watched people talk about it or if I actually did watch the movie. Let's go with that.
My favorite part is the Gaston part. I think Gaston's the hero in Beauty and the Beast, if you think about it.
Oh, interesting.
In both the live action and the cartoon, he's the hero. To convince me otherwise. Other than locking up Belle's dad in prison, we're a human, we make mistakes. Just he's a strong man that asked a woman in courtship, got denied, didn't let that phase him too much. Well, I mean, his best friend had to sing him a song to get him back on his feet, but whose best friend doesn't do that for them? And then he rallies the town together to get Belle back from being kidnapped by the Beast, who is just a monster that, let's be fair, got turned into a monster because they were just a bad person in the first place. And then Belle's suffering from Stockholm syndrome, so like, I mean, like we can't blame her for that. And yeah, he unfortunately, Beast wins and Gaston loses, but sometimes not.
Because that's what happened in the other movie.
That's what happens. But Gaston, he's a man that it's a great leadership qualities, great candidate, and no, he's the hero of the story.
Fair enough.
No, I'm absolutely hate Gaston. He's so full of himself. No one. I don't know the words, but I love that
either.
song. I love that song so much. But in reality, these live action films, are failing the audience, and I think you'll do a service to the audience if you give them something new, like Maleficent and Cruella. If you're going to give them something new in those aspects, and if people like them, you can start making sequels like how you did with Maleficent, how you made a sequel with that. I don't even know where that movie goes. Where does that even go?
It goes somewhere because I made a sequel.
I can't even. And I mean, did they do Alice in Wonderland? Did Disney do Alice in Wonderland?
Yes, and this is another thing I wanted to touch on real quick. So, looking at the official list, and by official I mean Wikipedia.
I think I like Alice in Wonderland.
So we have a live-action Jungle Book from 1994. I don't know if you remember that movie, but it's Jason Scott Frank, I think is the name of the actor, who was in he did a movie where he played Bruce Lee, which was like a big movie from my childhood. But he plays Mowgli, and it's like grown-up Mowgli, like living in the world.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And then we have, so that's in 94, and then in 1996 and 2000, respectively, we have 101 and 102 Dalmatians.
Oh,
the Glenn
the
Close
one that I was talking about? Yeah.
remakes. So here's kind of how I want to look at this, and I'm just making a decision that this is how I'm going to look at this. So the Jungle Book and the live-action remake of 101 Dalmatians, that's like X-Men. That's like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. That's like the Eric Bana Hulk. I'm comparing this to the MCU, if you couldn't tell. So, like, those are like, okay, we're going to try to do, like, live-action... we're going to try to, like, beef this up a little bit. We're going to try to take something that we already did, but, like, do it again. Okay, we did it. We tried. Not so much. So then we come to 2010 with Alice in Wonderland. I think that is Iron Man in a way.
Okay.
Because again, and I think that you and I have talked about this, but like if you try to take your mind back to 2008, I think that's when Iron Man came out. Like try to go back to 2008 real quick and remember, like when we saw Iron Man, like yes, Nick Fury shows up at the end and he's like, I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. And, like, if you're a comic book fan, you know what the Avengers is. You're like, oh, man, that's crazy. And then Edward Norton, Incredible Hulk comes out. And then Thor and Captain America. And then eventually we get, like, the Avengers. And it's this big deal, right?
Yeah.
But again, like pause and take a second to, like, put yourself back. Like, put your brain back where we were from 2008 to 2012. We knew that these movies were being made and they were building to the Avengers. But the concept of a cinematic universe still wasn't an established thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you felt this, but like what I felt or what my understanding was like, oh yeah, they're going to make their own solo movies and did they make the Avengers movie? And like that was it. Like, isn't that cool? Like, Iron Man had a movie, Hulk had a movie, Thor had a movie, Captain America had a movie, and now the Avengers have a movie. That was cool. But now, we're so steeped in this idea of the extended universe that, like, oh my god, this is insane. So I'm kind of looking at the Disney remakes in that same way, where they're not necessarily connected at all. Like, you're not going to see fucking Simba pop up in Aladdin 2. You know what I mean?
Unless you're playing Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
There's that. But if you think about it, in those terms, you have like Alice in Wonderland, and then a couple years later we have Maleficent, and then the year after that there's a remake of Cinderella.
I never saw that one. I never saw Cinderella.
And then the very next year we have The Jungle Book, and then in the same year as that we have a sequel to Alice in Wonderland. And I think at this point it starts to become clear, like, because again, like I'm trying to put my brain back in time when like Alice in Wonderland, Maleficent, and Cinderella were coming out, and even The Jungle Book to a certain degree, where I was like, oh, cool, like here's a new version of Alice in Wonderland. Here is a new version of Sleeping Beauty. Da, da, da. By the time we get to Jungle Book in 2016, that's where it starts to click with me. Holy fucking shit. This is not just, let's pull out an old property and see what happens. This is Disney actively putting forth a business plan. Fuck you, audience. We're just gonna remake our old shit.
You know, I think...
Because then it's like Alice Through the Looking Glass, Beauty and the Beast, Christopher Robin, Dumbo, and then it's like, oh, well, you're just remaking your old shit. Okay,
you know,
now I understand what you've been planting the seeds for.
You just blew my mind. Dude, I'm upset now because
you have to test something. You have to do an experiment, and then you start to see that there's a trend, and you're like, all right, let's start riding this train, bad boy.
I think your theory has some validity because naming off some of it, like I liked Jungle Book. I liked, this is an unpopular opinion, so it doesn't count. But I kind of liked Lion King, sort of. It was
okay. I know what some other people have said about it. I have not seen it, so I don't have a real opinion about it.
What other people have said about it, I agree with them. They're right. It's not that great, but I like it. Just yeah. Look, I've never seen the Cinderella trailer, but I'm looking at it. I think I would like it.
It's got Rob Stark.
It's got Rob Stark in it. The second I saw Rob Stark, I was like, okay, say less. I need to watch this. And it's also got this actress. I forget her name. She's in Green.
Is it Lily Collins?
I think so. I'm kind of a fan of her too.
Yeah, she is currently playing. So there's a movie being made about Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, and she is playing Pamela Anderson, and Sebastian Stan is playing Tommy Lee.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That sounds crazy for you and the listeners.
Yes.
If you think Lily Collins is Pam Anderson and Sebastian Stan is Tommy Lee sounds insane, it is. Look up the photos. They are so perfect.
Yeah.
Like the makeup and costume design is ridiculous on that movie.
Really good. Really good. But okay. I liked Alice in Wonderland. I saw the second one once, but I don't think I cared for it as much as I liked the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, this is just off topic. Growing up, Cinderella as a kid, I freaking love Cinderella. Holy crap. I would watch Cinderella all the time as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't the first time they've made a live action Cinderella. I remember they did some...
It's also not the... Oh, you do it, you're doing, and then I'll chime in.
No, say it. I'm basically...
No, I was going to say it's also not the last, because I don't know when, but I think in the next week or couple weeks, you can see a new live-action Cinderella on Amazon Prime starring Camila Cabello as Cinderella.
Interesting. Wow.
They fucking remade it again. Anyway, go on.
They've done Cinderella more than they've done other movies because they've made like there's 3 Cinderella like animated films, and that's more than most of the animated films. They don't have a trilogy, so the fact that she has 3 is like okay,
that's pretty cool.
Wow, and then she has so many live actions, and then like.
Because there's the Whitney Houston Brandy, like TV movie one that they did a while ago,
and then there's offshoots that are not Disney that are basically Cinderella films. So it's like Cinderella's been done so many times.
Oh yeah, there was a Cinderella story, the
Uh-huh.
Hilary Duff, Chad Michael Murray movie. Yeah.
Yup. uh
Oh man.
the like okay, but I liked these movies, and if you're telling me these were the this was like the experimental phase of like Iron Man, like we know what we want, we have this idea, because if you go back and you watch the documentaries of like the Iron Man, the MCU films, they talk about how like they just threw Nick Fury in there because they wanted to gauge audience reactions. They didn't
Hmm.
really want, like they didn't make Iron Man and be like, okay, a couple 2 years from now we're gonna have the Avengers. They were just like, we're just gonna gauge. We know we're gonna make movies of Iron Man, Thor, and all that. Let's just throw this idea out there and see how fans react.
Yeah.
And they got a good reaction from the fans, and so like I'm that
Kevin
upsets me
Feige
because
did,
now
I
I'm
think.
realizing, like when I started this, my thesis was essentially don't just remake the film, but you have things like Jungle Book and Alice in Wonderland that I completely forgot about, that because these recent films have really ticked me off. They really just pissed me off, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like they just like, why would you go in the direction that you went with these films? But then I'm also like, I'm so happy with Jungle Book and the direction they went with Jungle Book. And I'm happy
Yeah.
with, because I watched a crap ton of Lion King, and I'm like, I'm happy Lion King basically hit the same beats. I mean, they got rid of other things, but they did hit the same beats, which brought out nostalgia in my heart for Lion King. I was not happy with Aladdin. I just, like, I loved Aladdin as much as I loved Lion King. I just could not, and and like I'm happy for Jasmine and stuff like that. I'm not upset about that. It's just there's other things in that film that just felt, I don't know.
Well,
It felt like
well,
too much. But
you go ahead.
it's like Aladdin and Lion King changed just enough to where I didn't really like them. But Jungle Book stayed the same, and so did Alice in Wonderland. And it's just like, okay, so I'm okay. I'm actually okay with them making live actions of the cartoon version. But if you're gonna do it right. And I know that sounds really like, oh, you're on a high horse, Mario. Oh, look at you, Mario. Just do it right. Like, oh, easier said than done. But it's like,
Right.
it's already been done.
Made.
You right, yeah. How many movies have you made? It's like, okay, well, I can easily copy and paste something, like, and you can tell that they do that because they'll do the same shots from the animated
Well,
film, and then
But to be fair, and this is something that I can speak on because
Yeah.
it has to do with just style of animation. I think that is something that is a detriment to the Lion King remake. In the
can I
sense
can
of,
I
like-
interrupt you?
Go ahead.
What's that movie they just did with Harrison Ford?
Oh,
That's
I
off
know
of
you're
the
talking
book.
about the fucking dog.
The dog.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what I'm talking about.
I think that's the answer though, because they didn't.
Photorealism does not emote the same emotions that you were going for.
But the movie with Harrison Ford, which I need to freaking figure out what that's called.
Fuck, it's Snow
Uh,
Dog. It's not Snow
no.
Dog. That's Cuba Gooding Jr. But he's in fucking snowy place,
but
and there's
they-
a man motion capturing a dog.
They animate that dog way better than they animate the freaking animals in Lion King. Like there's things they did with that dog that you cannot. That it's essentially like animated like a Pixar film. Like they have the dog like raise its eyebrows and it's expressive, and you can see the dog getting a determination look, and like they do a lot of things with its eyes and its
But
facial.
it's not realistic to a real dog, and that's why it works.
Okay, then we're agreeing. We're saying the same thing differently. Okay, then we're on the same page. Yes, and
No, that's what I was saying. Like
Right.
when you watch the original Lion King from 90, what the fuck ever it came out, like when Simba is prancing around his dead father, going like, "Dad, wake up, get up." When Timon and Pumbaa are like cracking joke, like just look at anybody's eyes. Those are not animal eyes.
yeah.
And because they are animated eyes, they are so expressive. They can do comedic beats. They can do dramatic beats in a way that actual fucking lions or warthogs can't do.
Right.
But then, and that's the thing, like when you do that with realistic looking wild animals, it doesn't come across the same way. And I've heard a
Nope.
lot of people say, like, well, Jeff, like, think about it, like you've seen a National Geographic documentary or a Nature Channel documentary or whatever. Like if you were to see like a lion get killed and its cub was like crawling around it, wouldn't you be sad?
It's not
And
the
I'd be
same
like,
thing.
I'd be like, yeah, I would be really sad because it's a real fucking cub.
Yeah.
Sad over the fact that its real fucking father just died. This is a movie.
Yeah.
You guys.
No,
It's
yeah,
not the
you're-
same thing.
You're sad for the situation because it's real. You're not sad for the character and what
Yeah.
they're going through, and you can't relate to a lion cub.
And also, and here's the biggest factor: when I'm watching a National Geographic documentary or whatever, I'm not hearing today's hottest star be all like, "Dad, wake up! Come on, Dad, you can do it! Get up! I need you!" I'm just watching an actual animal just move
Yeah.
because animals can't talk. I don't know if people know this or not, but animals can't talk in real life. And that's the thing. Like you have to understand the realm of realism that you're working in. If you're gonna go photorealistic, you're already losing me because the animals are fucking talking. You
Yeah.
know, there's already a willing suspension of disbelief there. But it works in an animated form because they're animated. They have human eyes, even though they are lion-shaped and warthog-shaped and toucan-shaped,
Right.
etc., etc.
And they should have made the animals in this film more animated. Like and
Right.
I think it would have done it better and it would have done it more justice. But to me, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a critique. It's a good critique for that film. But like what you
and the
said
problem
about
there, though, is the fact that this is a live-action remake, but everybody's fucking animated. So this is just it's not even a live-action remake. It's just another form of animation. They just went the wrong way with it.
right.
That's
And
the weird part for me.
the thing is, I think you hit it. I think you said it perfectly with like I think they really tried in the beginning. And they knew they had to play it safe. And because they had to play it safe, they hit the story beats beat for beat, shot for shot, and they were truthful to the source material what they were making. That's why Jungle Book and Alice in Wonderland. And if there's people that don't like Alice in Wonderland, then I guess like pick one that you do like and try to relate to what I'm saying. So like that's why those two films work.
Mm.
Even though the second Alice in Wonderland film, I'm pretty sure like bombed in the box office, and that's probably why they stopped making them. Those two films worked, and then they were like, okay, we're going to stretch our creative liberties with these things. We already know that these make money, and we know we want to put out more of them, but we're gonna stretch what we can do with them, right? And so they start doing that as if they're trying to give us something new, as if they're not just trying to give us a copy and paste version of the films before. But it's like they're failing. So it's almost like they're in an experimental stage. And now I feel like Cruella and Maleficent came out around the same time, didn't it? Maleficent came out like way before. Like when did Maleficent come out?
Not like way before. Maleficent was 2014. Lion King was 2019.
Okay, so I feel like
5
they're
years.
in this experiment, like Lion King, Aladdin, and those movies that came out around that time are like experimental phase, and now we're almost in like phase 3 of like Disney's live action phase and like what they're trying to do with live action, and yeah, it makes me kind of hopeful because it's almost like they played the safe route to see if it was worth investing in. Now they're trying to now they're playing around with it, seeing what people like and don't like and what they can make money of. And this is my theory. This is me being positive about the industry. At the end of the day, I still think that they're just chugging these out because they know that they made the money once before and it's going to make the money again.
Oh yeah.
But I'm being hopeful because it's like there is a weird pattern to it. There is a very weird pattern of like, okay, why were they experimenting with these and not with those? And then like, if they're still making money off of just remaking stuff, why even bother making Cruella, right? Why even bother making Maleficent? If you know the tried and true are gonna work, why are you risking these? Why are you even risking these films with villains? Like, who wants to go watch? Like, when you think, oh shit, never mind. I think I answered my own question.
Oh, whoa, that was good.
When
You just Doctor Strange, dude. You were driving 220 around a mountainside bend, and you just fucking crashed up the side with that segue. What just happened?
I was thinking, like, when you think about a film, when you think about Sleeping Beauty, who wants to go watch Sleeping Beauty? And I was like, wait, who wants to go watch Sleeping Beauty? I was like, the most iconic figure in Sleeping Beauty is Maleficent. Nobody wants.
Well, yeah, because the main character is unconscious the whole movie.
And then it's like, who wants to go watch 101 Dalmatians? A big significant character in 101 Dalmatians is Cruella de Vil.
Yeah. Well, and
also, I was like
that
oh,
was
crap.
You know, well, and you kind of have to wonder, because again, it's like I try to, like, with shit like this, I try to put myself in the room. Like, how do they cut? Because you know that it's not like the writers just wrote a prequel to 101 Dalmatians from the perspective of Cruella de Vil and then got a meeting with the people at Disney and were like, here's an idea that we have. No, it came from fucking Disney. Like, they knew that this is the next thing that they were going to do. So it's like, you kind of have to imagine if they're coming at it from like, okay, well, what are we going to do with 101 Dalmatians? Well, we can't just remake it because that's just a bunch of CGI dogs running around. That's basically The Lion King. Like, it's a bunch of CGI animals running around. We already did that. So
I think you're saying what
do?
I came to the conclusion of. Holy crap. Oh my God. Never mind. There goes my positive outlook.
But that's the and I think what I'm about to say, I think is in line with what you're thinking, which is like, because you would think, okay, Cruella, that's an interesting take on 101 Dalmatians. Let's not remake 101 Dalmatians. Let's just do a prequel about how did Cruella become who she was. But really what it is we just don't want to remake
The Lion King.
A remake we already did, which is The Lion King.
Yeah, we Lion King messed up. So what can we do with this IP instead? Oh,
well, it's not that Lion King messed up, because Lion King made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Like over $1 billion. And it's got a fucking prequel that's being filmed right now.
Yeah.
Like, Lion King didn't mess up, but it is like, oh, well, if we have a bunch of dogs running around, that's kind of the same as a bunch of animals running around, which we already did in a previous movie. And also, in a way, we kind of already did it with The Jungle Book, because it's just like a bunch of animals. True. And it's even Jon Favreau. It's like the same guy who made Jungle Book, made Lion King. So, let's try something. Let's do something different.
Yeah, but I think it's also one of the things, like, they do listen to, as much as it doesn't seem like it, they do
have some
listen
common sense
to what people are saying, right? Like, if everyone's bad-mouthing how animals look, how real-life animals look, it's like, maybe we need to stop leaning in on the animals, right? Because maybe the first thing was, look, it's animals! People want to go to the movies to see cute little animals! And then then they're like, oh, people don't like the realistic animals. They don't think they're cute. And so...
Yeah.
But no, I think me and you, like, ran into the same conclusion, and I'm like...
That's hilarious.
It's like, because that's right. Like, who wants to go see a live-action Sleeping Beauty? Like, what are you really seeing in a live-action Sleeping Beauty? You're watching the dude fight Maleficent. And it's like, okay, why don't we just make a movie about Maleficent? She's a bad bee. Like, damn it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Positive Mario was right. Jeez. Yeah, but that's I don't know. I think I don't really have anything else to say. Do you have any last?
I mean, I guess considering that this is probably our most tangent-filled episode, but I guess my last thing I'll say about the Disney remakes, which is kind of my thesis, so theoretically we should have touched on this like 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
is the whole note, and this kind of goes back to our episode that we did about remakes. Is if you're gonna remake something, you have to do something different, because otherwise, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
And so like Lion King, so really looking at this list, the only ones that that I feel like I can talk confidently about, even though I haven't seen them, are Lion King and Aladdin. And Lion King, for the reasons that we just talked about, that the whole like realistic animation versus heightened animation, et cetera, et cetera. But the thing with Aladdin, and I'm glad that you brought this up earlier, talking about the fact that Will Smith's genie just does "You've Got a Friend Like Me."
Yeah. You've never had a friend like me.
The reason that musical number works in the original is because of Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that character works in the original is because of Robin Williams.
God, don't mimic Robin Williams.
Exactly. And and again, this is a thing that blows my fucking mind, because Will Smith, this goes into another thing that I think could be a topic for its own episode, is the concept of the quote unquote movie star. Like in 2021, do we still have movie stars? What is a movie star nowadays?
It's a good topic for a podcast.
You have Will Smith. And what you do with Will Smith, and this is me saying what they did in Aladdin. This is not me suggesting what you should do. But what they did with Will Smith in Aladdin is they just had him do what Robin Williams did. That's not why you get Will Smith. You get Will Smith because he's Will fucking Smith.
Holy shit. Can I? Oh my god. Dude.
Go for it.
Dude.
Go for it.
Okay.
Don't have him do a fucking musical number. Have him do a fucking rap, you moron.
Right. Yeah, you have one of the most popular, cleanest rappers from the 90s in a Disney film, and you don't utilize his skills.
Yeah.
It's
you
like,
just have him do what the other guy did.
That's so annoying.
And again,
No,
I'm just going to say this because I
Jeff.
think it's funny. I don't actually mean this. You just have him do what the white man did. Thank you, Disney. You're kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like, what are
But
we
dude,
doing?
okay, so like, this is insane. This is actually insane. So Aladdin, so this movie basically uses Will Smith, because they did that. They marketed Will Smith as the genie to be like, to get Will, oh look, Will Smith is the genie. Y'all want to check this out, right? Like, even if people weren't excited for Will Smith, they marketed Will Smith as the genie. And they wanted people to come in to see Will Smith as the genie. So like, back when Aladdin first came out, Robin Williams was pissed because
there's a
he did not want his name to be associated with the genie, because he didn't want people to come see the movie like just like for the superstarism. And so he was upset whenever they put his name in I think it was like in like the beginning film. Like, he didn't want to be credited for like voicing the genie. And then because he didn't want the movie to use his name to bring in tickets.
Right.
And they ended up doing that. And he got upset. And then it started a trend of like animated studios bringing in high, acclaimed actors. And now we're looking at it now. When I've played a lot of these Disney trailers, when you play some of these Disney trailers, they're literally, there'll be like a whole scene, maybe like 10 seconds, where it's just like, especially with Lion King, it'll be like Seth Rogen, Donald Glover, Beyonce. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, come see this movie. Look at all the talented actors that we got in this film. That's crazy. That's like a living nightmare for Robin Williams. Oh my gosh. That makes me sad.
Why does that make you sad, Mario?
It's just like, man, it's just like, film. I fell in love with film at a young age, and I didn't even know I was in love. And like film is like one of the greatest forms of art, and to see it, to like want to be passionate about film, and then whenever you like, there's just an ugly side to it, right? Like I named the title of this episode, the Disney live action, the good, the bad, the ugly, because there is good in these things. We're nostalgic in them. There is bad in the fact that not everything is a box office hit. Not everything is how we want it. It could fail the audience, right? They just care more. And then there's the ugly. There's the ugly in like how they manipulate us and how they take advantage of people just to hit their bottom line. And it hurts. It hurts. And like, I don't mean to bring this to a depressing note. I'm really hitting the feels right now, but like, I think there's a good outlook in this, right? I think when I saw, this is me pivoting, so you guys don't see me cry. When I saw Cruella,
Maybe this should be a sad episode. We need those every now and then.
leave people on a depressing note. No, dude, if someone's listening to this on their car ride to work, and then they go to work and they're like, man,
They need to know the truth.
No, dude, but Cruella really like gave me hope, dude. It was just a fun, good movie, right? And it's inspired me to like freaking talk about this, because I was really, really hating on Disney live action. There was like, when Disney live actions first came out, I was happy. I was excited. People were like, oh, like from the very get-go, people would say, oh, they're just this is another way for them to make money. I was like, I don't care. I'm happy to get more of this kind of stuff. Kind of like how I said with Star Wars. And then I hit a rut where I'm like, yeah, I'm like, to the point where I almost didn't ever go see Cruella because I was so done with being burnt. I was kind of burnt out from these things. So it was like, I know we debunked the idea, but I'm going in with some hope. And maybe it's me justifying more ways to spend money, right? But I'm going in with some hope, and if you listen to this podcast, you listen to me and Jeff, you'll definitely hear whether we like something. You're always going to get our honest opinion, but I'm going to go in with some hope that they will start their experimentation with this kind of stuff will lead to better like films and more creative films. And I want there to be a like something. This also makes me, I'm thinking about this while I'm saying this, so maybe we will end on a sad note. George Lucas, when
there's an anecdote that I want to tell you, which will probably end on a sad note.
Oh, okay. So. George Lucas, when he was making Star Wars, he was kind of like me and Jeff, right? He just loved film, and he loved making movies, and he loved all that stuff, and he hated the big wigs. He hated the executives, and he hated having to work with them, and he did everything he could to make his vision come true. However, and he said this is something he said, quote, he said, I had to become the very thing I fought against. I had to become the very thing I hated to make my dream a reality. I mean, he ended up making LucasArts, and he knows it. He knows, like, as much good as LucasArts has done, he still knows that that saying, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. He essentially says, like, yeah, I had to become the very evil I fought against to stop, like to essentially, like, to make my dream come true. And that's the thing, is like, these guys, they have dreams. They literally have dreams that they want to come true, but they're stuck having to deal with the people that actually have money. I didn't mean to make this political, but yeah.
No, well, dude, like, like Mario, I hate to break it to you, but you're talking about the film industry. It's gonna get political.
Yeah. I mean, I love these
that's
for
literally what it
industry
is.
talks. I think my favorite, like I love doing our reviews and I love talking about like the scandals and stuff like, but I think my favorite talks that we have are the for industry talks, like the ones where we talk about the industry. These episodes are probably my favorite ones. But yeah, sorry. Say your thing.
There's a podcast that I have been listening to for the last couple of weeks called Unspooled, and I'm gonna get through this really quick so I can get to my point real quick.
Yeah.
But the concept of Unspooled is that the two hosts are trying to find the 100 best movies of all time that they would put in a capsule to send into space so that when the aliens find it, they will have a full representation of cinema. That's the concept. 100 best movies of all time. And sometimes they do episodes on obvious stuff, which is like fucking Citizen Kane or The Godfather, and you're like, okay, well, obviously we're gonna put those in the capsule. But sometimes they do episodes on like maybe this won't end up in the capsule, but we want to talk about it anyway. So right now they're going through their summer blockbuster movies because it's the summertime. So they've talked about, Jurassic Park and Raiders of the Lost Ark and, these great big summer movies. And they decided, hey, we should talk about comedies that did really well at the box office because that's something that people don't usually talk about. And also, comedies might need to be represented in these 100 best movies of all time. So they're looking at some comedy movies that came out in the summer that did really well at the box office. And one of the movies that they talked about was The Hangover. Big hit. Huge fucking hit. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about, because it has to do with what we're talking about, is the fact that when Todd Phillips, the director, who later went on to do The Joker, I think that's what he's most recently known for, when he was trying to get the movie made, the studio wanted it to be this big budget, star-studded movie. And their thing was they wanted... So The Hangover, as we know, is Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, and Zach Galifianakis, right?
Yes.
The studio wanted Will Ferrell, Jack Black, and somebody else.
Will Ferrell and Jack Black in the same movie.
Well, and somebody else. So let's, just for the sake of it, let's say we had Jack Black in place of Zach Galifianakis, Will Ferrell in place of Ed Helms, and Jim Carrey. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
He's not at all the same as Bradley Cooper. But let's just say like the studio wanted Will Ferrell, Jack Black, and Jim Carrey because they want stars. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Disney. Is like, oh, I don't give a shit if they're a good actor or not. Are they a star? Yeah. That's all I care about, because that's kind of all they care about. But Todd Phillips fucking stood his ground, and he was like, no, I want to do it with, and not necessarily his buddies. Like, it's not like, hey, I have a friend who might, like, Ed Helms was on The Office at this point. Bradley Cooper had done a couple of seasons of Alias. Like, and Zach Galifianakis was, like, very big in, like, the stand-up comedy round. He had been in movies. Like, these are established guys in the comedy community. But Todd Phillips was like, I want to do it with these guys. I want to do it with Bradley Cooper, Zach Galifianakis, and Ed Helms. And the studio was like, okay. So here's the deal, Todd. We'll let you do the movie with your three friends. But if you do that, we're going to cut your budget in half. Because, again, like, they're not going to spend extra money on the talent if they can't guarantee a return on the box office.
Yeah.
Like, if you get Jim Carrey or Jack Black or Will Ferrell, you pay them $20 million because you know that they're going to make a fuck ton of money. But if you get these guys, you don't have to pay as much because they don't have the clout. And they even said, okay, on top of that, we're going to cut your director's fee in half. Which, for him at that time, was he was going to get $5 million, which, quick tangent, I was like, holy shit, Todd Phillips got $5 million to direct The Hangover? I didn't know directors got paid that much. That's insane. But that's a whole other story. So they were like, we're not going to give you $5 million. We're going to give you $3.5 million. And he's like, okay. Fine, you win. However, here's what I'll do. I will concede to what you just said, but I want a percentage of the box office. And the studio, because that's the thing that people do. They take a lower salary in exchange for points on the back end, which is if the movie makes a certain amount of money, they get a certain percentage of the money that the movie made.
Yeah.
And so the studio, of course, because they're like, well, we already know this movie is fucking doomed. We don't actually give a shit about it. Okay, fine, Todd. You can have your points on the back end. Da, da, da. Cut to, the movie comes out. It's a gigantic fucking hit. Todd Phillips, who was supposed to make $5 million for directing The Hangover, was cut down to making $3.5 million for directing The Hangover, ended up making $70 million for directing The Hangover. Yeah, dude. And on top of that, because Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, and Zach Galifianakis, like, they probably got... I don't know. Like, if Todd Phillips gets $3.5 million for directing the movie, maybe they got paid like $600,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's my point, and this has kind of circles back around to our whole remake thing of like, well, we made this much money the first time we did it, maybe we can make this much money the second time we make it. So when it comes time to make the second Hangover, which you are showing the trailer for right now, the actors, Bradley Cooper, Zach Galifianakis, and Ed Helms, are able to now go to the studio with their agents and say, hey guys, what's up?
Oh boy.
So remember when we made the first movie and you guys totally could have dealt with, sequel clauses and like what we would have gotten paid on the sequel, like you could have dealt with that beforehand, but you didn't have faith in the movie that it would, like, you totally thought it was going to tank and wouldn't get a sequel anyway, so you didn't do all that. Yeah, now we can negotiate the fuck out of you, motherfucker. And they got paid fucking bank on that Hangover Part 2 sequel. Because the first movie made so much money that they're like, hey, we weren't worth anything before this movie got made, but now that the movie hit, we're kind of celebrities now.
Good
and
for
we can do
them.
whatever the fuck we want.
Good for them. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
so I love that for them. That being said, and this kind of circles back around to our initial concept as well, if you've seen The Hangover Part 2, it's not good. At all. And if you've seen The Hangover Part 3, it's even worse. Oh god, is it terrible. But kind of going back to what we were talking about with the whole, like, if you're going to remake something, because the thing that I appreciate about The Hangover Part 2, which is their approach to it was, what if the joke is we just make the same movie again? Like, literally, what if we just make the same movie, and slight differences, obviously, but because it's like, okay, they had a tiger in the first movie, they have a snake in the second movie. And this happens, and it's like a little bit different, but it's basically the same movie. That's a great joke. I like that. That being said, the movie itself is just fucking terrible. But that is proof of, because, and just for the record, this is the main reason I bring this up. For the record, Mario, here's a question that I posed to you. What is the highest grossing R-rated comedy of all time?
Deadpool?
No, it is The Hangover Part 2.
It is The Hangover Part 2. Holy shish, is it really?
It's The Hangover Part 2, which is sad when you think about it because it sucks.
I think
that's the power of the box office, and that's the power of that first movie, which is the first movie is so good that people are like, they're making a second one? I can't fucking wait to go see that movie. but they go to see the second movie and they're like, yeah, that movie sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, to your credit, I would have said Deadpool as well. I totally thought it was Deadpool.
No, I think Deadpool's the highest rating R-rated film, not the highest rating R-rated comedy.
Comedy, yeah.
Yeah. The speaking of comedies, going off topic, I'm glad you told me that story, because that's a good story of like, stick it to the guy, right? Middle finger to the freaking executive. Screw you guys.
Yeah.
It's such a good that brought me up. That made me feel better. But another movie
good.
that I think
we end on an up note then.
we ended up. Oh, maybe I should end the movie now, or end the movie, end this podcast now. The Superbad was that's actually a really good film, and it's R-rated, and it's a comedy, and it's something that I think should go into the vault for those guys. But that's cool. I that podcast is such a cool thing. Well, if there's anything that if you've learned anything today, it's that we like and hate the Disney live action films. And on that note,
necessary evil.
Yep. And on that note, until next time, play nice.